Welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community. I don't know where you're beaming in from, but you can always download this at the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. The app is pretty easy to use, easy to install, and will keep you informed when all these
All these
events are
events.
happening. You also can check us out where you might be seeing us on either Facebook or YouTube, but ultimately either the community channel or the YouTube Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel will be the definitive places to catch all of the programming and all of the replays. This is the Reinventing Drawing Group, Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern with Jason Leeser. And if you are a tattooer or an apprentice or even just somebody who's drawing, you are encouraged to beam in. If you go to the community, you can also just go straight to community.reinventingthetattoo.com. One of the pillars of this community are these live events, and the listing for the Zoom link is right there. And if we put it out all over the place, then we end up getting spammed, so we don't do that. Anyways, you're encouraged to beam in. It's always fun to catch up, and if not, you can just catch up with the conversations. They're fun to put on in the background, and people have been saying they love to hear these like in the front rooms of their tattoo shops or while they're getting tattooed. They're basically long form conversations, all based, around tattoos. So while we're checking out how this is working across the networks, you could please um, beam in, or sorry, you could post up where you're beaming in from and how it's working for you. And I am going to share the screen here. Okay. So let's see. Other upcoming shows that we have are another Reinventing Drawing Group every Monday morning with Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network. You can check out his YouTube channel. It's awesome. And yeah, every Monday morning, bright and early for Eastern. It's wicked bright and early for Oregon and West Coasters. But it's a great way to start your day. And we have some Europeans join us because it's really easy in the afternoon for them. Every Monday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern is the Reinventing the Tattoo subscribers group exercises. So if you are a paying subscriber to the Reinventing the Tattoo canon, it's very reasonable for not only the whole course that's webinars and online chapters and courses. It's also a weekly Monday chance to beam in and do a live exercise with Guy and the whole crew. We're still doing the Tuesdays, how to build a tattoo machine workshop with Tony Urbanik. And no matter when you're watching this, if you go to reinventingthetattoo.com/build a tattoo machine, then you'll get a description, you'll catch a free chapter or two, a free chapter with a couple lessons, and then you will be able to see how well it's awesome. If every 2 hours a week, an hour and a half, 2 hours a week, he's filing out the pieces, parts, and connecting them. He's basically building a machine by hand. It's out of control. Let's see, we have art jams at 1 o'clock, the first Wednesday of the month with Stefano Fabriti. So if you speak Italian or want to learn it, or just want to check out some pretty awesome Italian painters, then yeah, the first Wednesday of the month at 1 o'clock. The Thursdays at noon, every Thursday at noon, the Tattoo Collecting Podcast is broadcasting out with Fawn Baker and Jordan Ruckus, and awesome tattoo collectors with stellar collections. It's always amazing to hear them talk about, how they went from, trying out tattoos to getting bigger and then collecting, and some people just starting off collecting, pretty much from the get-go. It's out of control. Anyways, let's see. We've got Tent Talk with Robert Schull, 7 o'clock every other Sunday. So that's coming up this March 7th at 8 p.m. I believe that's 8 p.m. I'm not sure. We'll have to catch the schedule on that. But it's awesome. He's doing interviews with all sorts of Chicagoland area or Rockford specifically to tattooers and whatnot. And then, yeah, let's see. All of these replays can be found in our ever-growing inspirational library. And if you check this out, actually, we also have a pretty cool inspiring art past and present. So these are all like different inspirations of artists and stuff that we are all digging. And that's ever-growing. But we're here to check out the video library. So this includes all of the replays, including the Reinventing the Tattoo podcast. These are the interviews, often with Guy, and he did an art history with Brandon Beam, also with Gunnar and Travis Louis. These are some of the art history talks. Here are some of the machine building panels and interviews. interviews with Tommy Lee and Hana Mantra. It's pretty awesome. It's got a pretty great growing library there. We've got the Tattoo Collecting Podcast, I think it's all 25 episodes. Past episodes of Reinventing Drawing Group, Art Jams, Let's Talk Tattoo with Mark from Needle Jig, the History of Tattoo Conventions, a 9-hour drunk critique that's you can see in the Tattoo Society magazine. A little article on it. It's pretty cool. So definitely pick it up or get your subscription. It's actually amazing. The Tattoo magazine, with really big pictures, and it's pretty awesome. Like just being able to see this stuff really big. It's way bigger than the phone. It's not even a. There's a reason why Tattoo Society still exists. It's awesome. Let's see. We have Live in the Castro, a podcast straight from the Castro, LGBTQ, and Haley Adams doing the interviewing. Awesome stories, the virtual tattoo gathering replays. So even if you're just looking for, oils 101, and you're just looking to figure out how to get control of it, we have Matt Hurtado did an awesome webinar, painting a donut with Christina Ramos, dark skin body art panel with Andre, a whole crew. Painting a skull with Sean Barber, Guy Aitchison interview with Winsor. This whole community just has so much content, it's out of control. And there is a whole feed here where people can upload all of their different, all the different things, really. So there's exercises that people are uploading, there's streams. This is Andre streaming out, tattooing, so while they're doing live streaming, you can chat in and ask questions and shit. It's pretty awesome, and there's every post has to go into a specific spot, which means unless this isn't the critique spot, there's no politics or dinner spot, which is pretty amazing because I get on all of the other spots and I'm like, oh man, I want to fight some people and I don't want to do that, and they post up awesome artwork here and I'm like, this is awesome. I want what's best for you. Let's fight in the same direction forever. Okay, thanks to our sponsors, this programming is free. Inkjet Stencils, who has a fantastic setup here where you can print out straight from your Epsons. They've got eco tanks, and again, Andre Malcolm's got a whole mess of videos now, and he's doing demos, and you can chat with him about it. This is specifically for the large-scale printer, and you can see it is printing out a full back piece or sleeve. It's pretty intense. Now, there are a couple of webinars, one with Donna, one with Frank Conception, and ultimately you can try it out and get an inkjet stencil for free. You can get 5 of them for free. If you want to size them right, make sure there's not too much black. Again, check out those webinars real quick. It doesn't take long once you get the hang of it. And yeah, they've got people that will send out 5 stencils to you to check out. Then our other sponsor that I would love to make sure we talk about today is, let's see here. Let me click back. You could always find our sponsors by going to the main menu and all sponsors, and they are all well worth checking out. This is Loose Screw Tattoo is looking for a new resident tattooer. They are a wicked busy shop. They've got a whole crew there that is awesome, every single one of them, so you want to make sure you can keep up. But if you can, do awesome black and gray tattoos and color tattoos. Again, these are tattoos that are coming through the door. You want to bring a clientele, bring a little bit of juice with you. But they'll keep you busy, and you want to make sure that you're turning everybody into a happy client. You're learning how to tattoo better, learn better customer service every day. Jesse Smith is a powerhouse of a tattooer and an entrepreneur. He's got a couple different things going on. He also co-hosts the Richmond Tattoo Convention. They have amazing guest artists coming through. Anyways, they do take some guest artists, but they're really looking for a resident. Either way, let them know that you found out about their openings on Reinventing the Tattoo, and they're going to already have an idea about the type of tattooer that you are. And if you go to Loose Screw Tattoo, click on Join Our Team. There's a little bit of an application here. Like I said, let them know that you found us there. Let's see, other real-world events that you will be able to find us at. The next one that we actually have planned is coming up in November, the International Brussels Tattoo Convention. It's November 12th to the 14th in Brussels, and we will be doing little mini events there every day. We'll have some drawing groups. We will have some seminars. We've got 2 heavies coming in to do awesome seminars. Really excited. We just need to kind of wrap up the final descriptions, I guess. And we all made agreements about it, so it exists. Well, I guess if people are asking in the chat rooms enough, maybe we'll let out who's going to be there in Brussels. But either way, this is a real world event, and there are rumors on the streets that maybe sometime in October we'll do like a Paradise BYOB, because we want to get together, but we're really not sure what we can do. And then we do officially have dates next year for the Hell Cities, May 20th to 22nd and 26th to 28th in the Biltmore. We will be making sure that we catch those shows because they are amazing. Let's see, other things that, you know what? I've been going on for 12 minutes here. Let me yield the floor. Guy, oh, hey, Guy, you're here. And Ricardo, how are you? Awesome. So I'm going to step in the background, and I can be monitoring the chat room a little bit, although Jason's doing a great job of that. And awesome. Well, thanks again, everyone. We will... Oh, sorry. I do want to make sure that everyone knows to always go to courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. And if you are an artist or an apprentice, you should be purchasing the subscription. As I was saying earlier, it is... I guess it's over 20 years now of experience straight from Guy's brain in a multimedia format now. It's the new educational chapters and lessons and layouts are awesome. We're fitting the Monday exercises right in line now with where they belong. And Guy has been working feverishly with Sandy behind the scenes to add new chapters, update chapters. It's looking awesome. Courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. And now I will disappear. Okay, cheers.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks, Gabe. Hey, everyone. Welcome back for another Sunday Drawing Group. Guy, welcome as always. Always nice to have you back here.
Thanks. Yeah, I wanted to drop in and see how everyone's final project is doing. I've got mine to a point where I'm going to start messing with color a little bit today, but I know I've got to have it dialed in before tomorrow. So I just wanted to check in on everybody else and see if you had any questions about where it's at before you take it any further.
I mean, you know me, I always have questions.
Yeah.
I never have enough questions is my problem. I was dealing with a major issue with just light source and lighting. I was talking to Ricardo about it a little bit earlier in the week, just bouncing some ideas off of him. Just seeing if I could get like a better concept of where the light was going to be hitting my little cherub. So let me pull that up for you so you can.
And I already had it shaded before, but it was kind of a general shading, like you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I see that now. It's really sort of an edge light.
Right. So what I was like, the one thing that I was really, really struggling with, believe it or not, was the background and then the cast light on the cherub.
Right.
Because I wanted to have this nice, like pale blue and yellowish kind of glow coming from behind the archway, which I know is going to cast the archway into a much darker shadow. Mm-hmm. And then I was thinking, okay, well, if that light's coming forward more, right? It's going to be wrapping slightly around the cherub in some of those more rounded areas. But if I'm going to have almost like a two-tone, call it like a sky kind of phase, if you will, which part of that would be wrapping around onto that cherub? You know,
right.
I've got this nice pale blue and bright yellow.
Right.
So
you got the warm and the
really
cool
translate?
There. Well, okay. The first thing I would say is, although the way the light is hitting the cherub face is probably pretty literal in terms of how it might look in real life, it still has a, on the edge of the face, it's very much a neg on neg thing. You got that outline, you got the same color of light on both sides of it. So that would, I think in some ways, excuse me, in some ways that might be a more important question than whether to use cool or warm lighting on. I think though, wherever you want to have the strongest highlights, go with the warmer lighting, but use the whole range of the colors that you're using in that sky for the highlighting and the cherub. And I think it'll look really natural. But as far as that edge goes, try a couple different ways. Try just taking a slight...
Sorry, real quick. Jason, right now you're showing speaker, so it's showing Guy's work because he's speaking, but he's talking about your screen. So I don't know if you want to show either the gallery
Oh
view
yeah, yeah. You might want
or
to put yours on.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Pin yourself.
Yep. Let's do more. See if I can figure out how to do that. Real pin. There we go.
So, and then while you're doing that admin, if you want to also hide non-camera speakers, then I won't pop up with a little black box whenever I talk.
I think I can figure out how to do that again real quick. How would I do that? That would be
Meeting
that's
settings,
under-
maybe, or
It's always great figuring this stuff out in the middle of a broadcast.
I know, right?
But hey, if CNN can do it, we can do it.
Man.
Yeah, they do it quite often too.
Yeah. Yeah, they make us feel way less clumsy.
And they're professionals.
Right, quote unquote. But yeah, I think when it comes to this new tech, we're all beginners.
Yeah.
okay. So in the meantime, we do have people saying hello from Brazil. A couple people saying hello from Brazil. Max says hello. I imagine that's a way to say hello. Maybe hello. Okay, we've got Elliot says, good afternoon. My dream is to get a tattoo. And then we've got a couple of thumbs ups in the group there. But yeah, so Jason, like I said, at the least if you put it into gallery mode, then it won't be flipping back between whoever's speaking, and maybe you could pin people.
Okay.
But anyway,
So
yeah.
I'll remove that pin. We should be in gallery mode. Are we?
Right now,
No.
well, I'm not sure because when I swipe back and forth, I get different views. So I'm not sure what the.
No, Guy, that's
public
from me
is.
to talk about what's going out. And right now it is going
Gotcha.
out in gallery mode.
Gotcha.
Okay, great.
Cool. All right.
Excellent.
So yeah, what I was saying is just in terms of that pos-neg relationship of the face against the sky, you've got a line and you've got that very light sky color on both sides of that line. So you want to ask yourself, do you want to go a little bit darker behind the face up to that edge, or a little bit darker inside the face up to that edge, just so they're not the same value? And then experiment with different ways of lighting it once you do that. Like if you go fairly dark against that edge, it'll really make that light behind it look more luminous, but at the same time, then the face becomes partially silhouetted.
Right.
And then you'll have to, work harder at picking out the details that you want to really pull into the highlights, versus your other approach, which would be to go a little bit darker with the sky color behind the face. And, even if it's only 10 or 15%, just deepen that whole gradient and then keep that edge of the face, nice and light. Either of those would work. They would give you two distinctly different moods. And then you just have to ask yourself which one seems to fit your vision of this thing better.
I always like to keep an open mind with lots and lots of things. So, we can always bring this down a little bit more, maybe even a little bit further into that nice golden yellow tone.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is one of those features that recently I've started to use a lot. In Procreate is the alpha lock feature. And it is incredible.
Because tell me about alpha lock.
Okay, so it's a little thing that I've started doing. I'm actually going to spotlight myself or pin myself so that everyone can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better.
Yeah.
So you're in Procreate, right? And say you just want to edit the current pixels on a specific layer, right? So I've got this nice yellow burst coming behind the cherub, and I'm going to play around with that a little bit because I have my nice light blue background, which I can switch on or off. So I want to go through and I only want to edit those pixels, but I don't want to make it go outside of that current range, right?
Right. Yep.
This can be really helpful. So if I was editing, say, just the black shadows on the archway, I can go through and do that. And it's only going to edit the pixels that are currently painted in. There's two different ways to do it. You can tap on the layer and choose alpha lock, or a really quick shortcut that I found, use 2 fingers and just swipe to the right on the layer. And you'll see a checkered background appear and disappear.
Okay.
Nike.
Right? So it's going to lock the area that you work in to just the pixels on that current layer. It's not going to edit anything else. It's not going to expand it. It's not going to go anywhere beyond that. It's only going to work in those little pixels that are currently painted in. You know,
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter what else you do on that layer. So right now I have it set on drawing assist, but if I have an asymmetrical design set up on drawing assisted, it will take those current pixels and it'll do symmetrical designs within those existing asymmetrical areas. So you can really start to have a lot of fun with it.
So alpha lock basically is a way of isolating what you're working on and not affecting other things. Handy.
Yeah, it'll help keep you from having to erase a bunch of stuff later and everything like that, basically. Like, saves you a lot of time, sounds like.
Absolutely. So let's go back to gallery view. So yeah, I think if I tone that down and just make that a little bit of a darker yellow, or a little, even just a little bit more saturated, I'll keep it on the same kind of spectrum. I'll just make it a little bit more saturated. And then that should give me a little bit more of a contrast and allow the light edge along that cherub to really kind of stand out a little bit.
Yeah. And then it's up to you how far you want to push that. Just think it does need to be pushed a little bit.
Well, let's see what we can do.
It's definitely one of those kind of designs that the more you work on it, the more work it needs. You know.
Yeah.
I'll show you mine real quick if that's okay.
Yeah, I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, let's spotlight you.
Just real quick. Yeah, 1 second.
Cool, you're on spotlight.
All right, let me pull this up. I know I got to pick it up towards the camera, but hang on 1 second. I'm going to show you the underlying drawing with the colors that I have so far. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Man.
Oh yeah. Your shading is fantastic. I
Thank you.
really like the forehead shadow,
look at
how that
archway, man.
drops those eye sockets in. The archway's got really good directional. Yeah, the directional lighting in this thing is over the top.
Okay, cool. And then thank you very much. I appreciate that, man. I'm working on, a few different layers like Jason was talking about. A lot of this stuff is in its own separate layers. So I'm going to go back through. I've just kind of washed color through it right now.
Yeah, that old red pencil color.
Right. And I'd like to keep it close to these tones here, like these like flesh tones, like peaches and some oranges and stuff like that. And I'm going to throw a little bit of like some like burnt browns, kind of like for some of the receding areas in the roses and stuff, especially behind the framework here, because I don't want it to be too dominant, but I want it to kind of fall back a little bit more too. And
so basically, the farther back they get, the less saturated the red's going to be.
Yes, exactly. Yep, you got it. And the same thing with the cloth, more towards like the back area here.
Yeah.
And then underneath the arm back here to kind of, I want to try to eliminate a lot of the line work in the piece and kind of make it like more edged than anything else.
Right. I see what you did with that really dark edge with the left side of the hair. Where that's popping in front of the background. Yeah, with that kind of contrast, who needs an outline, right?
Right, and that's what I was thinking. So I'm glad to hear that, because I've really been focused on just the edges of this thing as much as possible, and it's been really fun because it creates that shape and that depth without having to use a lot of outline and stuff too. Yeah. So, and I think, I mean, you've been, I'll take your advice, but I think when it comes to tattoos, it kind of, what I've noticed from my tattooing is it helps with the time, like longevity, as far as the longevity of the life of the tattoo. If you have those dark contrasting edges, it acts like line work would work. You know what I mean? In my opinion, but.
Well, you know, it's kind of like line work plus some, you know, because it's a line, but then it just keeps going, fades in. And, you know, for example, Marcus Lenhard, he lines everything with a, you know, like a 7 round, and then goes back in and shades it in such a way that by the time it's done, you don't really see any of those lines.
Right. Yeah.
But they're certainly there, you know, the strength of them is there, but then it's just been further added to by having, you know, all this strong shading around it.
Right. It's kind of like I like to think of it as the blueprint for the overall image more than anything else. Not like not that contributing factor to it. I want it to be more of like the foundation of what it is that I'm trying to show.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Well,
it's kind of great. I have one comment, and this is a relatively minor one. If you look at that cast shadow across the forehead, right, and it follows, you know, kind of drapes over the nose, and it angles down on either side of the nose. And then as you get towards if you go towards the right, that shadow kind of strongly coincides with the curve of that little bit of its back that you see between the face and the wing.
Yes, I do see
what I mean. So yeah, you could either, you know, nudge that shadow around a little bit, or nudge that, you know, curve of the back around a little bit, or both, split the difference so that those curves don't coincide. They should clearly be 2 different shapes.
So what I'm understanding you're saying is like the silhouette of the back. You think it'd be a good idea, because I do see that now. Now I see what you're saying. Like
it lines up with that shadow, and so from a distance, it almost looks like it's the same shape, right?
Okay, yeah, right.
It looks like the bottom half of the face is transparent, and you're seeing that through it.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, cool. All right, so just offset it just a little bit more, soften it
up. Yeah, or the shadow, you could also curve it. You know, as it gets to the edge, you could. I mean, it already does a little bit, but you could, you know, just strengthen that curve in the shadow so that it clearly doesn't line up with that the curve of the back. It's a very minor thing, you know, but those are the kinds of things I'm always looking for. And I might be seeing it more clearly than you, simply because I'm looking at your drawing much smaller than you are.
Right.
So if you back off and, you know, put the iPad down and step away, or just shrink it down really small on your screen, you might see that also.
All right, killer, man. Thank you.
Yeah, coming out great.
Thank you.
Natasha in the Facebook chat room says hi from New Zealand. So I thought that while Ricardo was on there's just some visitors there from New Zealand. I know that you sent an email down to one of those shops.
Yep.
Sounds like Jason Leeser is ready to go too.
Man.
Yeah, you better throw me in your suitcase, bud.
Let's go, dude. I'm ready.
It's Jolly Octopus Tattoo is the shop down there. Actually, Hannah goes down knows the fella, the tattooer.
Yeah,
I visited Australia once a long time ago, and I was supposed to stop in New Zealand on the way back. This is way long ago when Michelle and I had first started dating, and I just wanted to get home and see her. And I was like, all right, I'll see New Zealand some other time. And it just hasn't happened yet.
Steve Malley is the fella down at Jolly Octopus Tattoos, currently looking for artists in New Zealand.
Yeah, we were supposed to
plan.
Yeah, man.
I was gonna say we should plan a whole South Pacific tour, dude. Australia, New Zealand, and Japan.
Oh man, I'm talking my language now.
Well, dude, as I told you before, man, my cousin lives over there. We can go and stay with him, and there's a studio down the street we could guest spot at.
Let's do that. Sign me up.
That'd be pretty intimidating, though, man.
Yeah, why is that?
I always get intimidated, you know, tattooing in foreign countries and knowing all the like really awesome tattooers there.
Yeah.
So it's just my own like little self-confidence thing I got to get over.
No, dude, believe me, I get it, man. I've had my fair share of like geeking out and fanboying and stuff too, man. I promise you that. So.
Oh, I'm a total fanboy, dude.
Yeah, like it's like, yep, guilty.
Well, trust me, it never stops, you know.
Yeah.
Even when you get to a point where you got other people who are looking up to you and saying that you're their influence, you know, I'm continually blown away by other people, and it's always humbling. we were supposed to get a visit last year from the Inglorious Hoko. He and I were going to do a back piece. Yeah, we had a client and everything, and he was going to show me some ZBrush stuff, and then COVID hit. Everything got canceled, and yeah, we'll get around to it.
Time and
And
place.
then COVID.
Hey, guy, there's a new subscriber who just posted up an outline and might be interested in some hints for
Nice, yeah.
where to go with it. Should
Let's check it out.
Jason, do you have the Kira's?
I can pull it up real quick.
This is she's just shifted over from apprentice to tattooing maybe a month or two ago.
Nice.
And
Welcome.
it's a good spot for there to, this is on one of her freebies, one of her victims.
I never really knew when my shift happened. At some point, I just realized I was in there full time.
There was no ceremony or anything like that?
No,
Yeah.
no. There was the time I got paid for a tattoo the first time. And I think at that point, my boss figured it's game on. He had a habit to support. He needed to keep me busy.
Yeah. You came for the same timeline that I did, man. So it was funny.
So here we go. Here's the line work
Let's check it
that was
out.
brought up.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of hard to I don't know if I can zoom in really.
Well, I've just kind of pinched to zoom in, so yeah, I can see it pretty clearly. Yeah, I mean, I guess my first question would be what you're planning on doing with the space around it, because it does have these surrounding tattoos, and there's going to need to be some kind of harmony between them. And even if it's not going to be like an elaborate background or anything like that, what ends up happening is those totally untouched spaces end up standing out more from a distance than the tattoos themselves. So you want to ask yourself how you're going to address that. Even just a little bit of a soft cast shadow down into the right of this. And then the way these items are bundled together, you're just going to want to make sure you shade them in such a way that you can see those distinct different shapes from a distance.
Jason, can you zoom in on the image?
I don't know if I can.
You should be able to just click open map of plus to zoom in. Okay, I guess you got it. Yeah, there you go.
Now it just resized on me.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
as
it
far
keeps
as the line
resizing
work
the
itself
image.
goes, is this the back of the arm here? Hard to tell. Like the tricep area?
Looks like it's the inner forearm.
Okay.
Like right in that awkward spot towards the back of the forearm.
Yep. Yeah, which is why it's kind of good to have a design that's got a twist to it. But yeah, I mean, the line work is coming along. Doesn't look bad. I mean, it looks like you've gone back over it carefully and evened it out and built it. And, I'm always going to ask you, how's your stretch? Make sure you've got that skin really tight. I'm going to ask you, how's your lighting? It's more important than you realize. I work with two lights, like 15 inches above my work area. And I try to put them in such a way that I'm not casting shadows on the work. A lot of artists are working in their own shadow. They've got a bright light and then they put their hand down and it's this dark circle where they're actually working. So yeah, better line work is often just about getting better visibility.
How are you?
Hello.
Yep.
Sorry, I had to mute you there, Gabe.
Okay, let's see, where were we at? I don't know if she's able to post a couple questions, if there's anything specific.
She's on the call now.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Hey, welcome.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep,
We
can hear you
can.
just fine.
Yep.
I didn't want to put the
Hello.
video because I'm not actually at a house, but so I did the tattoo actually to the left of that. It's like a little mushroom type deal. She already had the surrounding tattoos around it. So I was trying to just fill the area of what she had and didn't have. Her tattoos are kind of all over the place. So I I don't know how much to say about it really, because I feel like I'm in a rookie era right now still. So um,
That's okay.
I
We're
guess
all
my
here to
question for
improve and
you,
get better.
yeah. Since you feel like you're in a kind of a rookie moment in your life here, I would just ask you what you struggle with the most right now. What are your biggest hurdles, and see if you can put those into words.
um, the main problem that I have right now is my magnum control. Every time I have a mag, I know that angle is important. So when I approach the skin with a magnum, let's say like a 5 mag, and I go to fill in an area, I'll approach the skin, but there's no pigment that deposits. And I think, okay, well, that must be one of many different things, which could be my stretch or the voltage I'm running at, the throw that I have. So
Okay,
I
are you using a coil or rotary, and are you
I
using cartridges?
I have a workhorse irons rotor or a coil that I'm using.
Okay.
And yeah, so every time I use that, I'll approach the skin and I'll hit the skin, but it just won't deposit any pigment whatsoever. And I just don't want to keep approaching the skin and just tearing it up for no reason. So I feel stuck at that point.
Gotcha. Okay. Couple things you can do there. First of all, uh, you might have a little bit too much needle extension. And that's always finding a delicate balance, because too much and it dries up pretty quickly. You stop getting ink flow. Too little and you don't have enough needles sticking out to see what you're doing. So that is a threshold you're going to have to mess with until you find it. And eventually you'll get to a point where you kind of do it intuitively, but in the middle of tattooing, you'll be working, be like, oh, I need better ink flow. And you make a minor adjustment without even stopping and thinking. And you'll have your ink flow, but it's always going to be at the cost of some visibility. So you're going to need to find that threshold, and don't be afraid to play with very minor differences in how much needle extension you've got, because a paper's width of difference can make that decision whether it's going to flow or not. Try different tube tips also. That can be a big thing right there. Are you using disposables or steel?
I'm using steel. It's a little less expensive for me right now, but I just love using steels. It's an open shovel tube for my magnums, but for when I use round liners or just rounds in general, it's usually a diamond tip that I'm using.
Okay. I guess the next question would be the condition of the shovel of the mag. Just make sure it's not grooved up too badly. And that's something that, if you are using steel, every now and then you sometimes have to just get in there with a file and smooth it back out again. That can actually sort of slow down the needle action, as well as impeding ink flow. Sometimes you'll have to bend the needles back a little bit so they ride the back of the tube more smoothly. If they're floating too much, sometimes that can affect your ink flow. So those are several things right there. How much needle extension you've got, the condition of the tube, and how good of a stretch you've got. But another thing that you could do is just try out different tubes. Invest in a few different makes of tube until you find that tip that gives you the ink flow that you want. It's not only about ink flow, it's also about sometimes the tube tips are just so big and clunky that it just the tip itself feels like it's twice as wide as the needle group. And so some tube makers are better about that than others. Honestly, right now I know a lot more about cartridges that are available than the current makers of steel tubes. So I can't really give you a brand recommendation there, except sometimes you just need to try a few things until you find what works for you.
Yeah, that's why I feel in the rookie move, because I don't really know what does and doesn't work yet, because there are some things that I feel like only doing it can teach you. So
yeah, well,
You-
definitely play with that the depth. That's going to be the big thing. And Also, when you dip into the ink cap to fill up with ink, make sure you load up pretty well. Hold it in there while it's buzzing for a second. And, even double check, look at it to make sure the tube has got a good load of pigment, because if it's only a little bit, that's also going to affect how much flows out.
Yeah, I noticed when I was watching some of your the webinars that you sometimes don't run your machine when you fill your cap. So I didn't know if there's a difference between when you run it or don't run it is that
Well,
purely?
okay, so when you run it, it's literally scooping it up in there and filling it. Now, when I'm dipping between, let's say I've filled up mostly with orange and I want to make it a little bit redder, then with it not running, I might touch down into the red, and then I'll run it, right? And that'll mix it all. But if you touch down in it while it's running, you'll scoop up a lot more than while it's not running. And there's pros and cons to both. When you're doing mixing in the tube, there's going to be times when you only want to add a little bit of color. So that's going to be the main reason I'll do it not running, other than if the ink cap is just low and I don't want to smack into the bottom of it with the needles.
Perfect. Oh,
You
okay.
know, Guy, do you mind if I suggest a couple things too? Would that be all right?
Oh yeah,
okay?
please. Weigh in.
What's her name? This viewer?
Yeah, my full name is Kirsten, but you can just call me
Kirsten. Hey, I think we've corresponded a couple times.
Yeah.
Hey, so you're using a coil machine. Do you know if it's set up for black and gray or color?
So I only have two machines at the moment. So I have one liner and one shader, and that shader is a color packer.
Okay.
It's a hard hitter.
It hits real hard, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if that might have something to do with it, because I know sometimes the contact screw can come loose sometimes, and that will increase the gap for the armature bar to travel, and a lot of times it won't have enough push on that downward stroke.
Yeah, I gave my shader a tune-up because I know you said to make sure that, give them a tune-up and make sure they're running good. And my armature bar on my shader was actually very crooked. So I had to fix that with the
Line it up.
With the armature bar little lineup tool that I have. So I was thinking maybe that could have been the problem as to why that's happening. I was like, well, that explains a lot.
Okay. And a lot of times there's some buildup on the end of that contact screw too, and you might want to take a file to it and just kind of give it a couple scrapes,
Or
and
even some memory cloth.
Yeah, and then a lot of times you can clean off the tops of the coils itself underneath the armature bar, almost pinch it down on a piece of, like he said, memory cloth. Pinch the armature bar down to the top of the coils and then kind of pull it through to clean off a lot of that excess.
It's funny. I used to do that with just using a business card.
Yeah,
because it doesn't take much. The emery cloth, you don't want to swipe on it too much, or you're going to change your gap.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, there's a lot of little technical things about it, but there's some other things that you can kind of dial in. And you want to make sure that there's not a big indentation on the front spring underneath your contact screw too. Check that spot as well. I know I used to have some problems with that. There was a couple machines that I had where I think it was a capacitor that might have gone bad on them or something like that. But man, the old Huck Spalding machines used to burn through front springs all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
you'd be working and suddenly,
yeah.
What? And you'd look at it and it would just be falling off.
Yeah, exactly, man. And you have to tell them, give me 30 minutes. I got to cut a new spring for this fucking thing, So,
yeah. I'm going to be a minute here.
Yeah.
Go to the bar next door. I'll see you.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're experiencing technical difficulties.
Right.
Please hang tight.
So guys, I am going to have to cut out pretty soon. I just wanted to see if anybody had any final comments or questions, since we're going to be reconvening tomorrow.
Yeah. Taylor.
I mean, I should be all right. I'm going to keep working on pushing and pulling this contrast a bit more and adding some more texture to it, and just seeing what more needs to be done. I may post it up in the community and just get some other opinions on it later on this evening and just kind of take a look while I take a break from this and start working on a 3/4 sleeve I have to draw out for Tuesday, which I barely started.
Back to real life.
Yeah, right. So I may post it up for some critiques a little bit later and just get some other opinions on it. But other than that,
right.
I think what you answered before with the lighting and where color would actually be hitting and creating more separation and value, Probably going to be working on that for a few more hours. So,
Right on. Yeah, I thought I was going to start messing with color here, but yeah, this is definitely one of those open books. There's no end to it.
Real quick before you go, Guy, Christina Christie is in the chat room. Says,
All right. Hey, Christina, how you doing?
Hi from Canada. We miss you guys. And Jerry P is also from Cheers from Newfoundland, painting while chilling. Oh, real quick. So while Kirsten's on the line, if she did a color study or even a black and gray study of that, would there be a little bit more room for some critique or idea where she's going to give her?
Absolutely. I mean, if there's any questions about where you want to go with it, yeah, taking it to at least a value study, it's just going to give us more to talk about in doing a critique.
I have the mushroom that's to the left of that tattoo. I already have that up. That's the only like finished part on her at the moment. But I will post the color study I have of it, and then we can talk about that whenever.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished tattoo also.
Yeah, I hope it goes well.
Sometimes if you bring in your tattoo in the stage it is now, and then just draw right over it in it, then you could kind of do some of the experimenting with it without actually needing to experiment on the people. Well, clearly, you don't want to experiment on people. Anyways.
Not too much,
cool.
Anyway. Well, hey, Jason, thank you for hosting, and thanks everyone for showing up. And sorry you got to run, but we got science class in a few minutes. So thanks again, and we'll be seeing you guys tomorrow night.
Take it easy, Guy.
Take care, man.
Video so fun.
Yeah, what an awesome dude.
Right?
Yeah.
Always super helpful.
Yeah.
And it's something that it never ceases to amaze me just how helpful certain people can be when dealing with certain things. And I don't know if they ever truly realize the impact that they have, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
Like, yeah, you're not setting yourself up to go out and do shit for any kind of other purpose than being yourself and wanting to be treated the same way. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a genuine kind of quality to it.
It goes back to something that I was talking to one of the he's not really what I like to call a tatter tot anymore. He's out of his apprenticeship. He's been tattooing for a little bit, but he's still in that very early beginning stage of really getting his feet on the ground, really starting to understand how to use the medium of tattoo to really execute, tattoos to an effective way. And I was talking to him about it, and I said, listen, like, if you ever want to get together and sign up for a local community college art class or something like that, or let me know. I'll call a few of my friends that, are models, and I'll have them come over and model for us, and we'll just do some life drawing, and we'll go over some certain tips and tricks on just working from life and, just improving your art skills, and he's like, well, thank you. And I said, well, you don't really have to thank me. When you achieve a certain level of proficiency in whatever it is that you do, and it doesn't matter if you're a welder, a plumber, an electrician, if you work with computers, if you're a teacher, once you achieve a certain level of proficiency in anything that you do, it then becomes your responsibility to pass that knowledge on to the next generation of people, right?
Right.
Because without that succession of knowledge, that knowledge becomes lost to time. Right. And if that knowledge becomes lost to time, then it's almost like it didn't exist, to begin with. Right. So it's like, this is just me repaying the debt from people that have shared knowledge with me. Right. And it might be something as subtle as like, oh, hey, by the way, if you're going to do this, try this. It may be super helpful. Like, if you really want to saturate that skin with color and cause very minimal skin trauma, pick your machine all the way back, man. Just take it low, take it slow, and just plow that field. Yeah. And sometimes it's just little things like that are just foreign concepts to you initially, that, in my opinion, can make all of the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And some people just don't realize the impact that they have on us when it comes down to passing that knowledge along.
Right.
So I always like to make sure that, you know, I acknowledge that. And don't get me wrong, I'm Joe Nobody tattooer from, you know, Bumblefuck USA. You know, I have a lot more I need to learn as well, but I have learned quite a bit so far. So if I
Yeah.
can pass that knowledge on to help benefit the next generation of tattooers, I'm going to do it. Like that's why I'm here.
Yeah, it makes it, you know, there's a lot of, when you do know what you're doing and you can share it with other people, there's a lot of knowledge inside of that as well. You know, like when you can teach, it kind of, you learn it from a different perspective even, you know what I mean? It's what I've noticed for sure. Like you might be able to, once you can verbally explain the technique to somebody, it kind of allows you to understand it even more. Does that make sense? Like there's a lot of layers
It
of depth
does.
to that. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I agree with you, man. I think the trick is to find the, you know, when the people come to you that you can tell that they really want to learn too, you know, like they're there and they're willing to do whatever it takes for them to kind of be able to share that with you, you know?
Right.
It's an earned kind of
Yeah,
quality to it for sure. So
and you get a lot of old school guys that are out there nowadays and they're like, oh, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, you don't tell them anything because that's your magic and that's how you do what you do and blah, blah, blah. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude, that might have been fine and dandy in the 80s, but like times have changed. Get with
yeah,
it. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm willing to sit down and, you know, like teach someone that hasn't gone through formal training on, hey, this is the right way to do this, because I'm not at the point in my career where I would feel confident even considering taking on an apprentice.
mhm,
But someone that's already got their feet on the ground, that's gone through an apprenticeship, that knows at least the basic fundamentals,
yeah,
ask me questions. I'll give you answers and I'll share the knowledge that I've acquired so far.
yeah.
You know, if I know that you've put that kind of effort in, bring it on.
Right,
You know,
right.
I'll sit down, I'll, you know, figure out a time, maybe we'll get together, maybe you'll come down and get tattooed from wherever you are. You know,
I think that's one of the,
and
yeah. Go ahead.
you
I'm
never
sorry.
know.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned come down and get tattooed. I think that's one of the best ways to kind of get in and start speaking with people. It's definitely, you know, come in, man, hang out, tell them your ideas, let the artist draw something up for you. You're there for a reason. You know what I mean? You like their art, something about it spoke to you. You know what I mean? You can go in, get tattooed, pay what you need to pay, and then start making your way. That's a good way to get started. Is to start getting tattooed by them, you know?
Oh, dude, that's so when I was going through my first apprenticeship, because I, like, lesser known fact, I went through two of them. The first one I went through, which got me a lot of, you know, industry contacts and helped me get my feet on the ground and taught me what I needed to look for in a good apprenticeship. You know, it wasn't exactly a success for one reason or another. It
Yeah.
was a lot about, you know, the money grab and, well, I'm just going to try to get their money and then I'll find some reason to like get rid of them or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, I learned a lot while I was there and took advantage of that. Then I went through a second one, which kind of picked up where they left off, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was one of those things where one of the things I picked up was, hey, if you're trying to learn how to tattoo, go get tattooed.
Yeah, exactly.
Get tattooed by as many different people as you can.
Yep.
And get tattooed by people that are like way beyond your skill level, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and ask them questions because you're paying for their time anyway.
Right.
Ask them as many why are you using that black? What
Yeah.
grouping is that? Is that medium taper or long taper? Why do you prefer that grouping over, say, something similar? You know, are
Yeah.
you using bug pins or standard pins? Or why are you using that color company? Is it because it was available and you're at a convention and, you know, hey, you know what? I forgot this color and here's something comparable from another company. So just needed to grab that and give it a shot. Or are you
Right.
actually specifically choosing that company of pigments based on, you know, saturation, based on pigment density, based on what the company stands for, how long they've been around. You know, or are you just picking it up because it looked like a really cool color and you wanted to put that color into the tattoo?
Right.
You know, there's all of these tiny little different nuances, right? That
Mhm.
really can help set certain artists down a path to success.
Yeah.
And like I've taken the trip and I've flown to London before to get tattooed by a guy from Canada,
It's
you know,
awesome.
and
dude.
I asked him every question I could.
Yeah.
I went to a tattoo convention out in Rome and I didn't even know I was going to get tattooed that weekend, but I found someone that, you know, was very, very reputable, my friend Tibbs. Um, and I was like, wait, you're doing walk-ups all weekend? Really?
Sitting down.
Do you have time to tattoo me? Because that would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah.
And he sat down and we talked about everything, man.
That's
About,
cool.
oh, you know, who are you really looking up to in the industry? You know, what
Yeah.
kind of style do you do? What kind of style do you want to do more of? You know, and all of these tiny little nuance things that just, you know, well, why are you using that brand? I'm using this brand of needles because, you know, I've used them several times and I believe in them and they are incredible. I don't know if they're more stiff. You can't really, you know, we had a discussion about, you know, sometimes you just can't really put your finger on what separates this from this,
Yeah.
but this works way better.
Right.
So sometimes you don't know the technical reason why, but you
Yeah.
know that it's a far better product.
Yeah.
And we talked about all kinds of stuff like that. And literally, I turned around as soon as I got back from Rome and said, okay, what do I need to order? And sat down
Yeah.
and placed a huge order, new machines, new needles,
Yeah.
like literally completely changed my entire setup based on, you know, the knowledge that I had gained because I saw the result on myself. I saw how quickly I healed. I saw how easy everything went. You know, I was looking at everything from the voltage they were running their machine at to the angle they were holding it, how much needle hang they had popping out, what brands of pigments they were using, you know, how, and they sat down and just drew the tattoo on me. They didn't go in with a stencil or anything. So like I was
Awesome.
watching the whole process start to
Yeah.
finish
Yeah.
and asking 1,000 questions. And that really, really helped me realize that what I learned in that first apprenticeship was 100% spot on. You
Yeah.
know, when you can go through and you have that opportunity, it's going to put you down a whole different road to success.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. You know, it's funny because you said that because I remember going to tattoo conventions when I was in my earlier years of tattooing. After about 6 or 7 years, I'm like, man, I hope that I'm doing this right. You know, like the tattoos are healing pretty well and everything like that, but the technique was always in question for me. So like when I would go to the conventions, I would just kind of walk around and talk to the artists and like ask them if it's okay if I watch them work and stuff. And they're like, yeah, you know, so you're just kind of hanging out, shooting shit and watching their movements and stuff like that, dude. And like you said, you know, it's kind of like I think you made me remember what we talked about a little while back about images and them being abstractions as far as you reproducing them, right?
Right.
And I think it's the same thing with setup and like you know technique and like you know machines that they're using and stuff like that. Just because you're using the exact same stuff that they are, it's always going to come out through your own filter, you know. So it might
Absolutely.
change it up a little bit, and that's the cool part is that you've started from a solid foundation because you see these guys work, you've talked to them, you understand that they're reputable, and you can understand that you have confidence in the information that they've given you. You know what I mean? And then it ends up morphing into your own thing, dude. And then you get to hand that down to the next person, like you were talking about. It's a pretty awesome thing, you
Yeah. And
know.
it's like anytime I talk to anyone about, you know, that's asking for advice on like, hey, how can I get brighter colors, or what brand of colors are you using, or what type of black are you using, or anything like that, it's like, listen, this is what works for me for right now. You know,
Right.
I'm not sponsored by anyone. I have, you know, zero loyalties to anyone. If I mention a specific brand, it's because I believe in it, I've used it, and it works well for me.
Exactly.
You know, I've tried just about everything under the sun at least once, as
Yeah.
far as tattooing goes. Um, Don't do drugs, by the way. They're very bad. Some
Which brings
are
me to my next
really
point.
fun.
Crack
Some
is
are
bad.
really fun, but they're not good for you.
Well,
So PSA right there, public service announcement.
health-wise, not good for you. Other ways may be good for you.
I mean, you can open up parts of your mind that sometimes you don't want to open up.
Where would that door even come from, bro?
Yo, don't even get me started on that, man.
Right? I know.
That door has always been there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit! Now you're really getting into it. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's keep
So
going.
anyway, back on topic.
Yeah.
Not that talking about drugs isn't a blast, but trying to stay on topic here. Today's talk is about tattoos and art and stuff. So
There's a whole after
we'll get
hours
into
group just for
recreational
that.
things
Yeah.
another time.
Sounds good. I'm there with you. I'll play along. Let's go for it.
But it's like, I've tried all kinds of different setups and machines, and I mean, I literally have a huge box of coil machines sitting right next to me that I haven't touched in years. Like Aaron Kane machines.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Ernie D's. I've got some. I've got a whole bunch of them in there. I've got a whole bunch of Ernie D's, a whole bunch of Aaron Kanes. I've got, I think, a couple of sets of fairies. I've got Soba, a couple of John Clarks. I mean, I've tried them. I've tried all of them. I've tried all different types of rotaries, from Bishops to Neotats to Inkjectas to Cheyennes. I actually own the Cheyenne 10th anniversary Spirit, the Sol Nova, the Sol Terra. I had the Cheyenne, the original Cheyenne pen when that came out. I've got just so many different ones, man. And they all have their own unique feel, and they have their own unique, purpose, in my opinion. To me, the biggest challenge wasn't necessarily so much what are you using, it's how are you using it.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Right.
That's the biggest thing to me, right? Because I've seen guys blast out some of the most silky smooth and beautiful black and gray renderings in tattoos you have ever seen, using a machine that I was always taught that you never want to use this for anything but color.
Yeah,
and
or
it's
liners. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how does that happen, right? So I then really started to sit back and ask myself, well, okay, if it's not necessarily what machine are you using, but how are you using it? How are these guys using it? Because that, maybe I could take that and apply that to something else.
Right.
So it really starts to bring up the question of, what's the kind of look you're trying to achieve, and how are you going about trying to achieve it? Because I'm a huge person when it comes down to, what are, being able to achieve different effects using different things, but using the right tool for the right job.
Right.
Right. But at the same time, I can make any tool in my arsenal work. It's something I kind of touch on in this little blurb I'm writing currently, which I need to get back on at some point in time in the next day or two. But it's like, we all have tools in our toolbox, right? And not just machines, but little art tricks that we use all the time. And it's those art tricks that allow us to be able to execute and achieve whatever it is we're trying to achieve. But if we don't have the right tool, then we kind of have to figure out, okay, well, how can I take this tool and make it work?
Right.
Say you only have two machines and one's built as, like an absolute old school hammer color packer, right? Well, if that's what I have and I've got a liner, that's a nice medium speed liner that hits pretty well, that I can run almost any grouping with. It's like, okay, well, if I have only those two machines, how can I achieve these super smooth photorealistic black and gray tattoos? How can I do that?
Right.
And figuring out a way to do that with what you have, I think, in all honesty, that's part of being a tattooer. We're not super rich. We're not.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going out there and saying, oh, well, I use this $1,000 machine for this. I use this $1,000 machine for that. I use this $1,000 machine for this. Yeah, I own a lot. Most of the ones I bought were used at like half price, if not below half price.
Right.
So like I'm saving a lot of money every time I get a machine, but there is no one specific answer, because you can have someone turn around and say, oh, if you only have an old school hard hitting color packer, right? Something that could easily drive a 10 penny nail through a 2x4.
Yeah.
You don't want to use that for black and gray. Some
Right.
guys out there can, more power to you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use that. I'd turn around, I'd throw a bug pin mag in my liner and just use that.
Yeah. That's
Because that's going to give me a nice kind of softer airbrush gradient. It's not going to hit and cause anywhere near as much skin trauma. You know, it's going to be light and fast enough that I can really achieve a nice, smooth, like black and gray whip shade, or I can set it up and run it a little bit slower and just really work on those black and gray builds. You know,
Yeah.
that's how I would tackle said situation. Instead of going through and using, say, like your standard number 12 mag and that color packer to try to go through and do black and gray. That just, I mean, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot at that. Once
Yeah.
again, there are some people out there, they can do it and it works beautifully for them. That's great. I couldn't do that. You know, I know my own limitations. And I think that's another thing that, you know, isn't really stressed enough in today's like tattoo world, is know your limitations when you're first starting out. You know,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to execute a tattoo that maybe a handful of people in the world can execute during your first year of tattooing. It's not
Yes.
going to happen. You know, and I know people that never, you know, they might have gone through like one apprenticeship that ended prematurely for whatever reason, but they got these machines and this ink and now they think they know everything. And it's like,
Yeah.
really? Let's take a look at your work.
Right.
Let's examine this and let's see what you're actually capable of doing.
Yeah. That's,
You know,
yeah, I've seen that a lot, man. I think you're right, because I've seen a lot of people just kind of start learning their tattoo and then they open up their own shop and stuff like that. And it's just stunted from then on out, because they've refused to kind of continue to put themselves out there and get that criticism that's needed, that constructive criticism that's needed. I agree with you completely.
you know, I call that a tattitude.
Yeah.
And I actually think I got that term from a tattoo artist magazine from many years ago.
Mhm.
And it's like, you know, these people that just think they're all high and mighty, and it's like, cool, you can do photorealism. That's great. But are you
Yeah.
at Bob Tyrell level?
Right.
Are you at Nico Hurtado level?
Right.
Are you at any of these other, are you at Shane O'Neill level? Are you at any of these other phenomenal black and gray tattooer levels? No? Okay, well then you still have more to learn. You know,
Yeah.
great, you can execute a solid color tattoo. That's awesome. But are you doing color work like Victor Chill?
Yeah. No
You
doubt.
know, are you doing color work like Devin Cooley?
Yeah.
Like how, you know, if you're not, and you're not at that kind of a level, then you still have more to learn.
Yeah.
You know, and if that's all you can do, well, you know, I'm sorry to hear that. Go through, have fun, you know, and if that's all you want to do and that's all that you can do, that's great. You know, I would never personally want to end up in that situation where I'm stuck doing one style for the rest of my life.
Right. Yeah. I feel you there, man. Like, don't get me wrong, the creation part of it, but what you like to do is great. But doing that day in and day out would get kind of, yeah, you get burnt out. You know what I mean? So I agree.
Oh, absolutely, dude. You would
And
get
then-
so burnt out so quick. And then you're like, well, yeah, but this is all anyone's ever coming to me for. And it's like, well, why is that?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta branch out. Yeah. I agree with you, man. I think it's pretty cool that you said that, because there's a lot of, you know, I don't know if you get it, but a lot of times in some of the consultations that I have, people bring in reference material of tattoos, and they're like, this is what I want. And I'm like, well, first of all, no, because that's somebody else's tattoo. Secondly, another artist and that client created that tattoo. That'd be like you stealing the image. You know what I mean? And a lot of times they want it just like that. I'm like, well, you know, what you could do is call this person or get on their email or something like that and send them an email, ask them what their requirements to get tattooed by them are. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
no matter what, I can draw something like that, and then we would make it to where it's not their image, but of the same subject matter. First of all, you're probably gonna, you're not gonna like that because you want exactly this image, and then secondly, it's always gonna be through my filter, so it's not gonna be the exact same as this picture is anyway. So I agree with you.
Yeah,
dude.
and it's
Just-
like if you know that if you tattoo that person, even if it's something similar and done in
Yeah.
a similar style, they're not going to be happy with it because it's not that
Right,
exact
yeah.
tattoo.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
that's
saying,
it's
yeah.
important to remember.
Mhm.
It's always going to be done through the lens of the person that's doing the tattoo. They're always going to apply their own unique situation and their own unique style to whatever it is they're doing. And if
Believe it
they
or
don't,
not.
well, then that's on them.
Yeah.
But that's what we see more and more nowadays is we see people coming in wanting these gorgeous tattoos that are being done. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, that's great. If you want something along those lines, go to that artist.
That's exactly
Why,
it.
why are you here? Like, are you
Yeah.
price shopping? Is that it?
Right. Yeah,
Because
the price
I'm going to
shopping.
charge you the same amount that person charged that client, but it's not going to be the same tattoo, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because that's not me. That's not who I am as an artist.
Yeah.
I know my own limitations in that aspect. And, maybe it's something super black and gray photorealism. I know that's not my forte. I know that's not one of my strengths. I can
Mhm.
admit that. For many years, I was working in a studio that, no one else there except for, I think, one other guy who ended up leaving. And I stuck around for a few other years. But for many years, it was me and this one other guy that could do anything remotely close to realism.
Yeah.
And it always ended up coming down to us because no one else there could even come close to it.
Right.
And it's like, don't start throwing people my way saying, oh, this is their style when it's not. And you clearly know it's not, but you're saying that just because you can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my own rendition of it, and I'll put big bold lines in it, right? Use
Yeah.
1/4-inch thick bold lines if I need to. Why? Because that's coming through my lens filter. That's the way I do things. And don't get me wrong, I diversify as much as I possibly can. I know I'm not a photorealist, so I don't try to do photorealistic work.
Yeah.
It's not that I couldn't do it given enough time and training, but I know that's not my strong suit as of this moment in time. So I'm going to defer that out. I'm going to say, listen, if you want something color realism, I'll give you a number of different recommendations of people that can do gorgeous color realism, because at the end of the day, I want you to have the best tattoo possible.
Yeah.
If you see the things that I do, and obviously, if you're trying to book an appointment with me on Instagram, like, I would hope that you've at least looked through my work.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, well, then that's on you. Or if you're like, wow, this guy does really great bold color neo-trad stuff, let's try to book an appointment for something realistic black and gray.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Do you see
Yeah.
anything on my Instagram that's that way?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's just, you could do it, right? You're a tattoo artist.
It's like, could I do it? Yeah. But, if you went to one of these other people, they would do it way better. And at the end of the day, I want them to have a good tattoo.
Yeah. That was one of the coolest things that I heard from a potential client one time was like, are you into this type of tattooing? I was like, there you go. There you go. That's what I'm
That
talking
is the appropriate question to ask.
Yeah. Are you into this? Do you like doing this stuff? Because this is what I was thinking about doing. If not, what do you think, man? Who do you think should do it for me? Perfect.
Yeah, that is an appropriate question to ask. Not necessarily can you do it, but are you into it?
Yeah.
Is this something that's going to get you excited to tattoo me? And I look for that enthusiasm, man. And the past few times I've gotten tattooed by different guys, I'm like, listen, I chose you to be my tattooer because I know the work that you do.
Mhm.
Not because, you know, I'm in the area. Most of the time I have to fly and book appointments with people months in advance. It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't choose you to be my to do this tattoo for me because you're local. I didn't choose you to do this tattoo for me because I thought you'd give me a deal. I didn't
Yeah.
choose you to do this tattoo for me because, you know, I didn't have other options. I chose you because I like your work.
Right.
And I know that no matter what it is you do, you're going to kill it, you know, and you're going to produce something that you're really excited about, you're going to absolutely knock out of the park. So I don't really care what the subject matter is. You know, I don't really care if it's, you know, a big flying dick and balls. Like, I don't care. I've told that to people before and they started to wipe a stencil away. And I'm like, no, but what we have there is fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Have you
it's
ever-
like,
You're like, you know what I really want? I want this stick of butter with some butterfly wings on it. Get it, man? Get it?
do it. A butterfly, get
A
it?
butterfly,
Dun-dun-dun.
bro. Exactly. And that's
No,
when
it's
usually when I
like-
go, get the fuck out of my shop right now.
Yo, I'll tattoo that on someone, man. I ain't beyond that.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking.
If
about
that's
that.
what they really want, I'll do it.
Yeah. No, I would love to do that shit for real, man. That'd be great.
You know, but it's one of those things where it's like, at that point in time, it's like, here's the theme I have going on with this area. I want you to add to my collection, put something there. You know,
Right.
if you draw it on me, cool. You know, if you have something that you've really wanted to do it. You know, I'm not going to complain because I'm here to collect a piece from you because I know
Yeah.
you're going to kill it no matter what you do.
Yeah.
I actually ended up getting a tattoo on my right thigh done by a really awesome dude named Denny Besnard out in San Diego.
Mhm.
And I'd gone there and I'm like, cool. I'm thinking like, we do like a snake and a skull and like a chrysanthemum or like some chrysanthemum petals with like some nice flowing Japanese style water. Like that would be awesome. Right. Because he's got a very Euro Japanese style. And he's like, yeah, we can do that. This was a few days before my appointment. Right. I always try to get into town a few days early, meet up with them, get a vibe from them, you know, and just like, you know, just hang out, pick their brains, watch their process, watch them work, maybe take some notes, you know, while they're working on someone else. Obviously, I ask them beforehand, but, you know, some people don't. And they're just like, oh, no, I'm just here to watch, man. It's like, well, you never asked if you could. Like, you just kind of sat down.
Right.
Kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I don't know if you're just trying to like stare at me and ogle me the whole time. Because, I mean, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
I'm not the most attractive person in the world. I know this. So if you're ogling me, there's something wrong with you.
That's fucked up, Jason.
It's the truth though, man. Like seriously.
Oh, dude, it's fucked up.
I'm not even kidding. I can admit that. I'm man enough to admit that. I'm
Oh,
not the
dude.
most attractive man in the world.
That's crazy.
You know, so like, okay, cool, fine, whatever. But we sat down and you know, I was watching them work, you know, went back to where I was staying that night and you know, just sat down and started thinking about it, getting super excited for it. And I got this email from him. And he's like, hey man, listen, I know you said you were open to ideas and interpretations. He said, I just had this guy screw me over for this $1,000 appointment on Monday. Like, just wanted to toss it out to you, see if you were interested in it. You know, his loss is your gain. I'll give it to you for the same price that I quoted you earlier today, which was, you know, less than $1,000, which was absolutely insane in my opinion. I'm like, wait, what? Really? All right, sign me up. And he tossed out this idea of doing this like dragon koi, right? He's like, obviously I'm going to take it, I'm going to reformat it for, you know, your thigh instead of this half sleeve that it's supposed to be. He said, but if you want it, it's yours. Just wanted to see if you were interested. And I said, dude, I'm in, man. Like whatever you feel like putting on me, I'm all about it. Like my goal here, once again, I came to you, I flew across the country to get tattooed by you because I like your work. You know,
Right.
I'm not here because I want you to do one specific subject matter on as a tattoo. I'm here because I love your work and I want to get a piece done by you that's yours, something you're excited about, something that, you know, you really want to do, because I know I'm going to get a better quality product out of them. And he
Right.
was like, oh, right on, man. That's great. Dude, I'm super pumped to do this one. I was really disappointed on Monday when the guy no showed on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, hey, guess what? You now have an opportunity to do it. Like, I hope you still have that same enthusiasm for it. And he's like, dude, I cannot wait. He came in on his day off,
Yeah.
right, to tattoo me, spent twice as long tattooing me than he originally thought he was going to, but
Yeah.
he still charged me the same price he told me to. You know, obviously I tipped him almost 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But, and he tried to give it back too. I was like, wait, what? No,
yeah,
you
no,
earned
dude.
that.
That's for you,
This is
bro.
your day off, man, and you came in to tattoo me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but you flew across the country, and I was like, I, you had said I can only get you in a month and a half from now. I would have showed up in a month and a half from now.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
That's what it was. You know?
Yep. That's cool. It's something that he's proud of too, though. You know what I mean? Like he was so excited about that image and stuff, and it worked out. Like it was like serendipitous almost, even, you know?
Right. Yeah, but he had a major impact on me as far as tattooing goes. So I
Oh,
give
yeah?
him the most props ever. We just had a question pop up in the chat box from Carlos. Carlos wants to know, how was the process for you to get to that point of finding your style and people starting to get tattooed by you because of what you do, and not just because you're close to them or price or whatever? Um, how
That's
was
a
the
good question.
process? How or what was the process? Because they're two very different answers. If you're asking what the process was that I did, I just draw it every day. But I would always take subject matter that I really liked, and I would stylize the crap out of it and just have fun with it, right? So, you know, people want a rose. Cool. I'll do a rose. I'm going to draw it in my way and, you know, start really incorporating certain fundamental aspects that I really wanted to focus on more, which was very, very fine and gray lines, almost like non-existent line work on the interior, super bold exterior lines, you know, and a lot of just varied, you know, strongly contrasting light sources. I started to draw just a ton of stuff like that. And I would pin that stuff up on a cork board in my station, right? Any single time I would get someone that came in, they would see the cork board of available designs. And they'd be like, oh man, that's amazing. Like, has anyone gotten that yet? And it's like, no, but we can set up an appointment for it. You know, I don't generally post original artwork on social media. There are a lot of, you know, art thieves out there and tattooers that are like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to tattoo that on my next client, screenshot, you know. And I don't get down with that. You know, I spend hours and hours and hours working on the stuff that I do. And, you know, I want to be the only person that does that tattoo. So, you know, it's like, those guys can go kick rocks, and I'm going to continue doing what I do. But word started to spread, man. Word started to spread, and it started locally first. You know, it started locally and just started to grow from there. And I was doing a lot more fun stuff that I really wanted to do, that I really kind of enjoyed doing. And then I started traveling a bit more, working at a lot of shows, really starting to network with people in other countries. And, you know, the next thing I know, I'm getting off of a plane from Dublin at working at the Dublin Tattoo Convention. And I'm getting hit up by someone from Toronto asking about, you know, snake on their back. And I'm like, yeah, like, yes, when? Like, let's get this set up, please. Because I love doing stuff like that. You know, it's like, I love snakes, I love flowers, just about anything Japanese I can really sink my teeth into. And just about anything that's really going to challenge me as far as like, okay, how can I do this and really just knock it out of the park? So like I tend to focus on stuff like that and let the word spread organically. So like anytime I go to a tattoo show, you're going to see me with like a little like foam poster board, right? Propped up at my station with like a whole bunch of original up for grabs custom designs.
Yeah, that's a good way.
And I'll have them all drawn in different colors, like on different paper textures. And, you know, I'll get them to the point that it's like, it's going to catch people's eye. And people are going to walk past and be like, yo, that's awesome. And it's like, thank you. It's up for grabs. If you want to get it done, let me know. I've got time. Great. Next thing you know, I've got them posting it up on social media and they're like, yo, just got this sick new tattoo. Take a look at this guy's work. And word starts to spread in that area. And then you go and do another show somewhere else. Word starts to spread in that area. And then you go and do another show somewhere else. Next thing you know, you've got people from all around the world that are following your work. And inevitably, people will start to fly out to get tattooed by you. You know, I've got people regularly that drive over an hour and a half just to get tattooed by me. You know, it was a long journey, but they love the work that I do. You know, they've specifically reached out to me to get tattooed in that way. And it's like, great. But it all started by just drawing every day and just starting to draw the stuff that I really wanted to do more of, you know, but I wasn't drawing on an iPad. I was drawing by hand.
Yeah.
Because people want something tangible to see. You know, if they can pick up a piece of paper and look at the drawing that you did, they love that. If they look around your station and they see artwork that you painted, you know, or drawings that you've done that you've decided to frame, they're going to see that and they're going to be like, whoa, you did all of this? Like, you know, when can I get something else done? Like, I don't know, come draw something. Like I see all the artwork you've created, draw something, come up with something for me, you know, and the bigger the design that you draw and render, the bigger you're going to get to do tattoos. You know, if you draw it, they will come. But it all starts by having something tangible for them to look at. People aren't going to want to sit down and flip through your iPad, you know, and be like, oh, that's cool. It's on an iPad. Like, whatever. You know, they're going to want to see something, you know, drawn by hand. So if you work on an iPad like I do, go through, sketch it out on the iPad, get your line work down together, right? Print it out full size, take a piece of tracing paper or vellum or heavyweight drawing paper, whatever it is you want to work on, lay that over top next to a window, let the light shine through it, use that as a light box if you don't have one, and draw it by hand. Do a full-sized hand-drawn rendering of it. Pin that up at your station. People are going to see it and want to start getting stuff like that done. Guaranteed. It happens every single time.
I agree,
So,
man.
real quick, there's a comment or a question in the chat room here. Carlos Krypton asks, how is the process for you to get to the point of finding your style and people starting to get tattooed by you because of what you do and not just because you're close to them or price or whatever?
Yeah. So I started traveling a lot. That was one of the steps that I did. But once again, it all started with drawing. You know, start drawing and have a ton of stuff that you want to tattoo. You know, if someone comes in and is like, well, that's a cool angel, but like, I want this angel. And it's like, well, here's an angel already drawn. What do you think? You know, I always try to take their idea. I'll draw my own version of it. Cool. You want St. Michael. Awesome. Great. Let me come up with my own version of it. You know, guaranteed you'll be happy. It'll be original. You'll absolutely love it. Cool. They'll come in and they'll see 3 drawings that you've done of St. Michael, right? That you want to tattoo, and you know you want to tattoo them because you've drawn them. You know, so you can turn around and say, cool, here's 3 different versions of St. Michael. Which one do you like the most? Awesome. They pick one, you tattoo it, you enjoyed tattooing it. There you go. You get to do something you love. They got an awesome tattoo and they know what kind of work you do. If they're insistent on getting a specific style, say they want something super photorealistic, you know, let them know that, hey, that's not necessarily my strength, and I want you to have a good tattoo. If that means I gotta refer you out to someone else, that's what I'm going to do, because I'm thinking more about you than I am me. People love that, because it's showing that you care about what they get done over what you want to do. And they're going to
Ricardo, do
inevitably
you
turn
have any
around and say,
advice for this transition, or?
Yeah, I agree with Jason in a lot of ways. You know, a lot of it can be very individual, man. That Jason was talking about traveling a lot. I think that's a really big one for me. I've always been kind of apprehensive about that, to be honest with you. It's more recent for me than ever that I've started reaching out the way that I am, and this forum is making it great to be able to do so. But traveling is a big one for sure. And you know, you can kind of overcome a lot of things that may block that process for you while you're doing that. And a lot of times it's being open to criticism. You have to be able to put your things, you know, your images out there. And then I think with me for sure is like, whenever I draw something, I feel like it's part of me. So when somebody is going to give you some criticism, whether it's negative or positive, you can kind of take it the wrong way, but you have to kind of get past that. That's one of the things for sure. The other one is, I think it is important to have a sketchbook. I think it is important to carry a piece of paper and a pencil around with you. And like, just when you get that moment of inspiration, just draw. And even if you don't have that moment of inspiration, just draw what you see and just stay in the practice of it. And don't just draw one type of style. Try not to do that. Try to draw as much of everything as you can. And then when you sit down to draw what you would like to create, or a certain neo-traditional style or a black and white realistic style, all of that practice, all of that effort is going to become like a muscle memory thing with your hand and your brain coordination, your eye coordination at some point, and it starts to just develop in its own sense. So I think that's why whenever we see a lot of tattoo artists that we look up to, some people, and I hate those guys for being this way, but they can just do it right away. And it's awesome. But that's true for every field. The person that plays guitar can pick up a guitar and never done it before, and they're like already writing songs, you know what I mean? So, but if you're not like one of those people like me, you got to put in the work, man. You have to draw all the time. You got to keep that end goal in mind. But know that throughout all this other creation, you're gonna get stronger, and you will get to that point where you create your own style. That, and the other one is no matter what you're drawing, always keep it handy. When you get some downtime, man, just set it all up around you. Put it up tape it up on a wall somewhere in your shop, in your studio, or at your house, somewhere that you sit down and you chill and you relax a little bit is a good place to put it. Like if you have, you know, if you're a coffee drinker in the morning, set it up in your kitchen, man, next to your coffee station or something. And just take a look at everything that you have been creating and start letting it kind of sink in. And there's this unspoken word that kind of comes through to you where you realize what you're actually interested in. And that can help with a lot of direction on its own, because sometimes we just draw shit and we have no idea why. But that's part of the beautiful part about it. So in a long, drawn out way, that's what I would recommend for sure. If that makes any sense.
definitely, man. And I'm sorry if I was up on my soapbox a little bit ago.
Not at all, dude. Not at all. I think I don't think you came across like that at all, man. I think you were talking about like, you know what, I get the same way, dude. You start going and you don't want to stop because it just starts spilling out. You know what I mean? So that's totally cool. I get exactly where you're coming from. I'm the same
Don't
way.
get me wrong, Ricardo. I wasn't apologizing to you. I was apologizing to all the other people watching.
Right on. Cool. Killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
You're absolutely right, man. You're right. You just get onto that one track mind where you're just sitting down and you're like, I got to get this out. Like, this is information people need to hear. And next thing you know, you're like me and you go off on tangents and you forget what you were originally talking about.
Which is what I feel like I do a lot, dude.
I mean, you do. We all do to an extent, you know.
Thank you very much. Yes. Tell me how it is, buddy.
I mean, it's good though, man. It's all about the sharing of information in this community, and that's what I really, really love about it.
Yeah.
You know, because you never know what little tiny nugget of information is really going to help someone out. You know, and it's like sometimes it's that one little nugget of info that just really makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude. I agree with that completely, man. Yeah, drawing has always been something that I've just always had an interest in, man. Like I remember, being in school, dude, and always handing in tests and stuff like that that would have just scribbles of anything that I was drawing at the time. A lot of hands. I used to draw a lot of hands when I was younger for some reason. I don't know why, but a lot of hands and a lot of just like little, kind of graffiti faces and stuff like that. My teachers were always getting pissed at me. They're like, "Is this what you're doing? Are you not? This is why you're getting like a D in this class, man." I'm like, "No, it's just boring." So, but I moved around a lot as a kid too, though. You know what I mean? So every school was always different. But drawing was the one consistent thing that always fell into place for me, for sure. Plus, it's fun
Carlos
as hell.
says, I appreciate it. That's very insightful. Thank you.
You're welcome, Carlos. Thank you, man. Thanks for asking us. What kind of music are you listening to today, Jason?
Right now, nothing.
Yeah.
A little bit later today, I've really been on like a classical kick lately.
Yeah, right on.
So, and I just find that like, especially if I'm sitting down and I know I've got a full day's worth of drawing ahead of me, it
Mhm.
just helps keep me on track. It helps keep me focused. I'm not like skipping through songs saying, "Oh, I hate this song," or "Oh, this song is too depressing." Like it's
Yeah.
just kind of neutral for me.
Yeah.
So I generally tend to listen to that a lot whenever I've got like a lot of stuff I got to get done.
Mhm.
But I also listen to that while I tattoo. I just find it helps create a sense of focus and
Yeah.
helps clear my mind. Everyone's got their own thing that they listen to. I know certain people that, will listen to like interpretive jazz when they're
Nice.
tattooing, and it's awesome, and they'll
Yeah.
just totally zone out and blank out on everything going on around them. And
Yeah.
that's what they got to do to help stay focused. For me, it's classical, man. I'll throw on like movie film scores or like
Yeah, dude,
soundtrack
that's awesome.
music.
Rock
And it's
on.
like, yo, I love doing that, especially when I'm getting tattooed too, man. It's great because like I'll sit back and like those film scores, like think of like the Lord of the Rings, like classical music soundtrack.
Yeah, yeah.
You got Frodo, he's chugging along, right? And then you got Gandalf coming out from nowhere with his big beard and shit, right? And then you got like other cool people in there. And but like the soundtrack alone, if you listen to just the film score, creates a narrative of an adventure, right?
Yeah.
And because it creates and paints that kind of a narrative in your mind, just with the mood that the music has, it can help, while you're getting tattooed, it can help your mind to go on a mental adventure while you're
Yeah.
getting tattooed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of the way I approach it, because it's like every time I get tattooed or I'm working on a massive piece that I need to be like completely zoned into, I'll throw something on like that, because for me, it's an adventure, right? I'm
Yeah.
going on a journey through this tattoo, and it's going to help keep that momentum going while I'm working on it.
Right. Yeah, it
No.
totally just gets you in that groove, right? Like, dude, especially when you're getting tattooed, man, because there's some moments where you're just like gritting the teeth, but if you're into it and the vibe's right, you just kind of fall into the table, dude. For sure.
Absolutely, man. I actually found an 11-hour mix on Spotify. 11 hours.
Damn. Yeah.
No
that's
lie,
awesome,
dude. And it's got some of the
Good.
greatest, like just, it's time to zone out and just get shit done
Yeah.
kind of music I've ever heard. And
That's
it's all
awesome.
like really, really great. Like it's got the Jurassic Park theme song in there. It's got a
Yeah.
Transformers theme song. I think Wonder Woman's in there. Star
Nice.
Wars. It's got like the Army song that you hear in all the commercials with
Yeah.
like I think it's a flugelhorn that the guy's playing. But it's like all of this really cheesy, just like classical, like really you're listening to that kind of
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
But yo,
Right.
it works so well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get down on some you know what I've been listening to lately like that is the Interstellar soundtrack. That's pretty good one.
Yes.
That one's a
That
really
one's
good one,
awesome.
man. Yeah, it's so good, dude. And like of all things, the fucking Tron, the new Tron one that Daft Punk did a little while back. That's not too bad. I
Yeah,
don't usually
buddy.
get into electronic music that much, but that one's pretty good, dude. And I know exactly what you mean. People come into the shop and they're like, man, what the fuck are you listening to? I'm like, dude, I'm getting in my space for you, bro. Just chill out. Sit
Right?
back. Give it a second, man, before you start judging me and shit.
It's like you don't have to listen to death metal while you're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
a tattoo. It's
Yeah,
not
not
a
all the
requirement.
time.
I'm sorry.
no, exactly.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah, man. Where's the metal, dude? I smell the green soap, but where's the metal? Like, chill out.
Right?
bro.
Yeah. Take a step back. It's okay.
It's all right. You're gonna be okay. We're gonna hold your hand through this, bud. It's all right.
Right? And actually,
Yeah.
I find a lot of times if I'm tattooing someone, say I'm working on a huge side panel or whatnot,
Mhm.
right, which is not a fun area to get tattooed,
Oh,
obviously.
no.
You know, especially when you know you're going back in for multiple sessions and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I often find for my clients, a lot of times it can actually also be helpful to kind of put their mind at ease as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And I will literally make it almost like a spa experience for them, where
Yeah,
they come
dude.
in and they're like, what is this? The sounds of gentle rain.
Yeah, yeah. dude.
And like, yo, they just sit down and they're like, that hurts, you know,
Yeah.
but it does help calm them down and it doesn't really put them on edge. And because of that, I think they sit just a little bit better.
Yeah, dude. Man, I have a lot of clientele that's like pretty much my age or a little bit older or a little bit younger. And a lot of them have kids and like this busy life, man. And they come in and they sit down, they get tattooed for 4 or 5 hours at a time. They're like, man, I gotta be honest with you, this hurts, but this is so relaxing at the same time, dude. It's incredible.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Kira, thanks for joining.
What up?
Oh, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, but it seems like your microphone is on somewhere. So maybe there's a Bluetooth disconnection, but be careful, you're driving.
Is it better now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes. Please be careful while driving. Yeah.
That's better.
Actually, I think your microphone might not be all that great.
Hold on. I'm now having trouble hearing everybody.
That's okay. I was just talking nonsense anyway, so.
I'm listening to, have you ever heard of Dead Meadow?
There we go. Now I can hear everybody.
Hey, welcome.
How's it going?
Yeah, I 100% agree, by the way, about the music. I do the same exact thing, and I always have to look up at my clients and be like, I'm sorry of my weird choices of music, but the classical music is much more relaxing for me and for you.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Plus, give them a little bit more of a broadened horizon as far as music goes, too, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And usually when I know that somebody's going to be getting tattooed in a tough spot, I'll usually like put a movie or something on because usually they'll pay attention to that and then they'll forget that they're actually in a lot of pain. So it gives me the time to just get in what I need to get in for them.
Yeah.
I do that a lot too.
Yep, likewise.
Yeah, Ricardo's got like a 60-inch TV in his studio.
Yeah, dude.
Is that 4K? That better be a 4K screen.
Dude, how did you know, man? Have you been coming in here when I'm not here or something or what? Because yeah, it is a 4K for sure. Dude, I'm here all the time. Like, and I love it.
Ridiculous.
So, yeah. It's great, man. The clients love it, dude. Like they're like bugs to a fucking bug zapper. You know what I mean? Like they're just mouth wide open, staring at the movie, and we'll just shoot the shit about pointless movie trivia to each other. You know what I mean? It's fucking great.
Right.
You know, when we had, I got all of the equipment at one point for the tattoo gathering, like all the video cameras and the, you know, hooking them up to the TVs specifically to do seminars. And so I was in the front room of the tattoo shop, and with a big ass TV set up and a wicked new high def camera set up in the front booth. So when there was as I started it, you know, and I was trying to figure out the battery kept running out or whatever. I don't know. I was fucking around with the camera a bunch, and then I finally get it all hooked up. And so the TV is like all the chairs and the TV are all against the wall. So your back's against the wall, and the TV's also against the wall. So as soon as the TV goes on and starts showing the the tattoo that's happening in the front booth, the people that are sitting in the chairs literally like get up, turn around, and start looking at the TV.
Yeah.
You know, and I was pretty tuned into like just making sure all the shit was working. But then I noticed in the back of my head, I'm like, wait a minute, that's weird. They had every opportunity to look at the tattoo happening in front of their very eyes.
Yeah.
But as soon as it was on the TV, they literally got up and turned around. And so I was interested about. I was just like, I noted that, and then I was playing around. And like 5 minutes later, the camera fucking shuts off, and
Oh.
I'm like, oh man, the fucking batteries. What is it? What's going on? And they literally sit down and they turn around and they sit down. And I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. Well, humans are crazy. And so then, you know, I just went along. I tried to figure it out. I got the battery hooked up again. It all turns back on. The TV turns back on. They fucking stand back up and turn around and look at the TV again. It was out of control. But to your point, yeah, it's like, I don't know, you know, it's like moving pictures. The energy that's coming out of it just sucks you right in. It's almost impossible to not look. And again, like I said, this was not even a movie. This wasn't a YouTube video. This was literally the same tattoo that was happening before their very eyes. Now, on the other hand, it might actually be more interesting to look at like a high def version of it pretty close up, you know,
Yeah.
than it is to like look over someone's shoulder from far away. I mean, that's why we had it for specifically so people can look at the tattoos nice and close up. But
Right.
anyways, to that point,
That's
that was cool.
awesome, man.
I do want
That is a great
to
idea.
mention that you guys were talking about some sci-fi channels, and
Yeah.
the Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner soundtrack is out of control. Awesome.
I'm gonna put that one down right now.
Yeah, Blade
Oh,
Runner.
dude,
whatever,
that's a good one.
oh, it's out of control. And then I do want to point out that on the Tattoo Now YouTube channel, at the very bottom here of the homepage, we've got a whole mess of long form concerts and stuff. That's it's not like a massive variety, but what do we got? De La Soul, we got Spangle, White Stripes, Alabama Shakes, Father John Misty. If you go in here and you click like random, there's enough crazy stuff that well, they're all long form, so that
Awesome.
you can put them on random and then walk away. Anyways,
Oh, it's killer, dude. It's on the forum.
that was on the Tattoo Now YouTube channel. I'll put a link over it.
Okay.
You know what? Maybe we'll make one for reinventing too. I can
Yeah.
start there, and then
Yeah.
everyone can add to it. And the goal would be to add stuff that's like, you know, again, half hour or longer, so that's worth it from start to finish. Like just like spectacular performances that are, you know, long form.
Yeah,
Because
man,
people get
killer.
into that shit, you know, for long term, you know, sessions and shit.
Yep. Yeah, I'll play the what is it? The Iron Maiden, the Beast tour. The I can't remember which one that one was. Fuck, what was it? There's an Iron Maiden tour where they fly around the world, and it's like the 12 shows around the world in so many days or some shit like that. I can't remember what it's called now. I'm spacing out. Anyways,
I don't know. That sounds awesome though.
yeah, we love that one. Burden of the Beast, or I'll look it up. You know, I feel like an idiot. Let me see here.
Way to go,
Anyways.
Ricardo.
I know,
Dropped
dude,
the ball.
totally dropped the technological ball here. Let's see.
So Kirsten, do you have any advice for apprentices? Like, how'd you land your apprenticeship? Are there things that you either were told that you didn't listen to, or things that you wish you were told?
Oh Jesus. I feel like everybody's apprentice story is either like a really nice time or just a complete horror story. But I thoroughly enjoyed mine. I originally was apprenticing at a small shop. I got the apprenticeship through actually the piercing apprentice was my friend, and she said that there was a spot open, and I had just turned 18, and I was there like the next day. I had taken a bus and gotten to CVS and like printed out like the most horribly quality little tiny photos of my work and shoved it into any binder I could find and showed up there, and they talked with me. I got the apprenticeship. And then that apprenticeship wasn't really the greatest. So one of the artists there actually took me on, and we left and went to a different shop, and that's where I've been. As far as like advice, the only thing that like I would say is to don't think that you're going to turn into like somebody like a Jesse Smith tomorrow. That's never going to happen. So when I
No, Jesse Smith didn't turn into Jesse Smith right away. Although
yeah,
truth be told, he did fucking knock it out of the park right at, pretty quickly. But he also
Oh
had
yeah,
like a full military career, and
no, yeah, there's nothing against it whatsoever, not against any artist whatsoever. It's just don't expect that you're gonna be the greatest artist on the planet tomorrow, that there's a long journey ahead of you, and it's gonna take a lot of sleepless nights and blood, sweat, and tears to even get to the bare minimum point of the license that you have. Um, my apprenticeship in its full length was like 3 years, and even now I'm still pulling out rookie stuff and just working my ass off to even come out with a nice clean sticker of a tattoo. So the only thing that I really want to comment on is actually going back to Carlos's comment about when you're going to find your style. And honestly, I think it just happens. I don't think that, you really should be drawing to find your style. It just happens over the years. When I was first starting my apprenticeship, I couldn't even draw anything. Like I couldn't draw a circle, I couldn't draw rows, I couldn't draw anything that anybody asked me to do. And even after, 3 years of apprenticeship, I still can't draw a lot. And I still am asking everybody, when am I going to get my style? But you can notice here and there that you're starting to do things in each piece that is this like similar, I should say, is the best way I can put it, I guess, to your style that you're developing. And you just get that from studying, from looking at other artists, from expanding your horizons, from painting and color pencils and watercolor and digital artwork, and just get your feet wet and everything is what I can really say. Don't just be a tattoo artist, be an artist, not just tattoos. Do everything. Like I do paintings and color pencils and, you know, doing live portraits and anything you can get your hands on. That's how you can find it. Anybody else want to add to that? I'm just
Wise words.
Yeah.
Very wise words.
I really liked what you were saying about like the sleepless nights and stuff like that too. Like I remember when I first started out, man, I was at the shop all the time before the guy got there waiting in the parking lot. You know what I mean? I made all the needles for us and stuff, dude. Sweeping, mopping, you know, drawing all the time. Just studying, 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 studying. Like you said, you hit the nail on the head, and you said it kind of just starts to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing I can add about an apprenticeship itself is don't just get an apprenticeship. Don't do that. Go find your mentor. Don't just go to any shop that'll take you. I mean, sometimes that's great. That's how I did it. But sometimes that'll land you in like the worst possible spot that you could be in. And it'll actually be more damage than good for you. So I think you should actively find your mentor and work for it. Apprenticeships are hard to come by. Everybody knows that. Even now, nobody wants an apprentice, but you should go out there, make a good portfolio, get yourself confident in what you can do, and go out and find your mentor that'll teach you what you want to know and, get you where you need to be, and that you can trust will get you there, as I best can say it, I guess.
So I think you hit on an important point there, is that, you landing your apprenticeship was a very unique circumstance. That's not, from what I understand, the way that most people go about it. I know that's not the way that I went through mine and achieved mine. That's, you really kind of lucked out there.
Yeah.
The one thing I always try to stress to people that are even considering looking for an apprenticeship is, tattooers that are willing to teach and that have knowledge to pass down, they want to see how much you're invested in it. They're not really looking for someone that's going to come in, learn, and then leave and go and open their own place. We want to make sure that you're invested in it and that you're going to take it seriously. And I'm not saying I'm looking for one, because I just don't think I'm qualified to have one yet. It's not something that I envision myself doing anytime in the next like 4 or 5 years. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying that, it's not something I see happening. But I digress. So one thing that I know personally that I would look for is not necessarily an investment in like money or anything like that, but time. How much time are you willing to dedicate just to earn the right to have the apprenticeship?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if
Yeah.
I'm going to spend my time teaching you, and if I'm going to invest my time into getting you up to the point that you can turn around and say, hey, I'm going to work at a convention in, Georgia, or if I'm going to work at a convention in Florida, I know I'm fully prepared and confident to go and work there because of what you've taught me.
Yes.
If I'm willing to invest the time in to get you to that level, how much time are you willing to invest to learn? That's the way I kind of equate it, because we all know time is money. So how much time are you spending on even looking for one? Are you taking them at no? Are you getting tattooed by the person at the studio? That these are, once again, things I personally look for. If you're going to come in and get tattooed on a regular basis, start asking some questions and say that you have an interest in it, and bring in your art portfolio and start to build that kind of a reputation with the artists that are currently working there. In my opinion, you have a far better chance of them saying, you're a little rough around the edges, but let's have you get in here and start helping us out, taking out the trash and whatnot. There's your foot in the door.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
So, and once you have your foot in the door, you just kind of squeak on through the crack in the door, right? Next thing you know, you're sitting down and they're saying, no, no, no. What did I just teach you? You pull a line like this. It takes a while, but you can get there.
Yeah, I think it's important too to know your place. And I think it's a great thing that you said, Jason, way beginning in this, about how you should never stop learning. Like, that's what artists are. You're going to learn until you die, pretty much. So don't ever think that, oh, once my apprenticeship's done, I'm just going to be, coasting. There's no such thing as coasting. You're just going to be working this hard every day, all the time, until you die.
Yep. And if you don't like it, find a different career.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a great thing that tattooing is becoming way more popular than before. But at the same time, you have to be realistic with your apprenticeship. Don't think that, you're going to have a social life. It's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
What's that? I still don't have one. This is my social life right here. No.
For the first 2 years of my apprenticeship, I didn't see anybody. And after the 2 years, they're like, "Oh my God, where have you been?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm grinding."
I'm learning.
I'm learning.
That's awesome.
So definitely just be realistic in your apprenticeship. That's what I wish I was when I first started. I was realistic, because I wasn't. I thought that, oh, this is going to take like 6 months and I'll be tattooing, and then I'm going to be this is going to be great. I'm going to be coasting. I'm just going to hang out and chill. And then after till the tail end of my apprenticeship, I'm like, this isn't going to stop. This is just the beginning of it. And I'm going to be more excited about it. And I think that's the mindset you have to understand and be realistic with. Your hands are going to hurt. Your elbows are going to hurt. Your back's going to hurt.
Yes.
You're going to be sleepless nights because your body just hurts and you have a 12 o'clock appointment the next day. So there's things to think about and be realistic with. And I know it's awesome to see like awesome tattoos on Instagram and Facebook and all these crazy people traveling the world making art and making money off art, but there's taxing with it. It's not as awesome as just the picture. The picture is just the picture. The tattoo is just the tattoo, and you have 10 more within the next 3 days.
Yeah.
I think you hit a very important point there as well. It's like, what you don't see is all the hard work that went behind that awesome tattoo.
Yep.
You're not seeing that. You're not seeing how many hours they've spent just drawing, trying to figure out perspective or proportion or, light source, or how to create a volume or a texture. You don't see any of that. All you see is a really well done tattoo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And which once again is great that tattooing is way more mainstream and popular now, but at the same time, it's more common for apprentices to be in that mindset. And once they get into that realization of, oh, this is all the stuff that goes behind it, they're already, you know, deep into their apprenticeship and they really have to think about it. Like, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? So, and that's one of the things that I appreciate as an artist, that is all the hard work, because when the community can come together, like how we're sitting here now, we can all understand that it's hard work and it's taxing and there's a lot that goes into it. But at the end of the day, like, just one big old community. And for apprentices out there that are, you know, trying to learn off of different artists and they're being difficult or have a high ego, just remember that all artists, all they want to do is teach each other and talk about it. And if you have an artist or somebody that doesn't want to talk about it or wants to hide certain secrets from you, just go somewhere else, man.
Yeah, save your time.
Yeah, artists are around just to share to each other what can happen and what they do and what works for them, because they should love talking about it, not hide it from everybody. These are my secrets, nobody else's, you know?
Yeah, the beauty of it is that kind of mentality inherently is going to die off, right? Or at least it's not going to, you know, it's not going to be as strong in the future if it's not intentionally trying to pass off its knowledge. Hey, what was your first awareness of tattoos?
That's a good question.
First awareness of tattoos?
Yeah, like what, like I don't know, like when was your first time you remember? What are your first memories of tattoos? And then likewise, were you always drawn to art? And what was that shift? But I'm really interested in, you know, your first memories of tattoos.
Yeah, so I mean, my dad had gotten a bunch of tattoos, which I thought were awesome. And I am the ripe age of 22. So actually, when I started getting interested in tattooing, a lot of the TV shows had the tattooing TV shows on. And I remember watching Megan Massacre tattoo, and I was like, oh my gosh, a female, we can do that too. And that's when it kind of sparked in the idea that I wanted to do that. But it was more of just like the freelance of it. Because I feel like tattoo artists are the most free people, because they can just get up and pack and, you know, go somewhere else and still have a place to tattoo and do the exact same thing that they've been doing, because the clients will follow. So I think that's what really drew me to it. And also conventions. I love conventions.
Awesome. What conventions have you been to?
I did work at Tommy's right before
Awesome.
COVID happened. I did Tommy's and then the Boston Tattoo Convention. That was super, super fun.
Oh yeah. What is it that you love about them?
The fact that there's live tattooing. I love the live tattooing, because sometimes I'll be the weirdo that just stands there for the whole 5 hours that person's tattooing and just stare. And I love that the public has more access to that sort of realm where they can walk by and see what actually happens behind the scenes. And I love all the pieces that come out. I love how creative people get with their marketing. And I just love watching artists communicate with each other. I think that's the best part about all of it, is just meeting so many artists, and everybody's different and they do different things and they are drawn to different things. But at the end of the day, we all are one big old family that just wants to draw and get paid for it.
Fight a little bit. Hey, who did you meet? Who's some of the artists that you met that made a good impression?
I met Eric Jones. He's, oh gosh, he's in New Hampshire, I believe. He was one of the first artists I met. Dan Brown, he's towards Boston. He did one of my tattoos. He was also very nice. And this was right before my apprenticeship, when I started going to conventions. So they answered a lot of my questions and I was able to talk to them. They're all super friendly. Let's see. Those are the only ones that I can remember off the top of my head. But I just loved seeing all of the artwork that was there. And I didn't know that they also did like performance acts too. That was new. I don't know if they do that at all conventions. But I know at Tommy's they did like the fire breathing and the sword swallowing stuff. So I thought that was random and cool.
Yeah, it depends on the show. Most shows have some sort of entertainment up there on the thing. Usually the shows that I'll end doing or be involved with are a lot more geeky. So like we'll do like book TV style events on the stage, but that's definitely a difference. Usually there's a variety of acts. What's Jason or Ricardo? What are some of your favorite conventions that you guys have hit up?
Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, dude, I got a list. So let's see. London by far, London or Paris have been my two favorite ones I've ever been to. London, just like the caliber of artists that were there was incredible. Such a shame that that's not going to be going on anymore.
Wicked sad.
Paris,
Yeah, but you've been to the Paris show?
yeah, I went to the
Yeah,
Paris
make me
show a few
jealous.
years
Let's
back.
hear that one.
Oh, dude, that was so the venue alone was like incredible. It was, I think it was in like an old sports arena. I got a hotel right by it, by like one of their major transportation hubs. It was a like 20-minute walk to the venue. And you're walking around, they had it on 2 floors, but it wasn't like a hotel floor in like a conference room. It was an oval venue. So I think it was like some kind of indoor basketball arena or something. And they had like the box seat area, and then they had like the ground floor, and you could walk up and down the aisles on the ground floor. Then you would go up some stairs or take a lift, and then you would walk around like a perimeter area of booths. And it was just, it reminded me a lot of London in the fact that you're walking around and looking at some of the top like 2% of tattooers in the world. You know, you would turn around and there would be Shige from Japan. Then, right across the aisle from him, you would have Orient Ching. And then down from them, you'd have Shane O'Neill and Nico Hurtado. And then on the other corner of the aisle, you'd have James Tex. And like, so, I mean, they really covered every possible style you can imagine. And it's like, it was like the cream of the crop of like tattooers that I had ever personally seen. Leap Blue was walking around at one point, and I was like, he's here. He's here. I need to find him and shake his hand. Total fanboy. Total fanboy. As far as like domestic conventions go, Philly, as far as the size of it, is just intimidating, but it's awesome the energy that you have in the air. Baltimore's been a good one. Lehigh Valley is always a good one in Lehigh Valley, PA. Very, very small, but very high caliber artists. So I really enjoy working at that one and going to that one.
Is that a meeting of the Mark? Is that one, or what's the?
No, it's the Skindustry Tattoo Expo.
Cool.
Yeah. So once again, that one's a little bit more focused on old school tattoos and very traditional styles. But they do have other people that are local that are very, very good at tattooing. And I'm very fortunate, or I guess kind of unfortunate, to work in an area that's like totally saturated with unbelievable tattooers. Guys like Rich Wren, who is like insane with his new school work, Scott Bramble, Brian Donovan. And these guys are all within a stone's throw of where I work. So it's constantly kicking me in the butt saying, yo, dude, you need to do better. Because if you're trying to compete with these guys in this area, you got a lot more work to do. So it's nice in that aspect. You get a lot of guys down in Philadelphia, and even guys in other parts of Pennsylvania, like Studio One with Kevin Riley. Incredible artist. Martin Lacosse's.
Stay on target. We're talking about conventions.
Yeah, sorry.
Studio One is awesome.
I get distracted so much. New Jersey's got a couple of good ones. I won't work at any of them in New Jersey anymore because they have the IRS on hand. And that's kind of like, really, you're trying to collect taxes off of the tattoos I do in 3 days? I'll pass. Georgia's got a pretty good one. Virginia Beach is a good one. I keep hearing about different ones down in Florida. Like there was one that was right by Cape Canaveral that I really want to try to check out. Here, Austin's got a great one. Two that I really want to get to, though, are San Francisco, the Bay City Tattoo Convention, and the San Diego Invitational.
Yeah, dude.
I really want to try to get to those one day.
Yeah, those are two heavies for sure. The Bay Area one's been awesome for a long ass time too. The San Diego one awesome. Looks like those lineups are always spectacular.
Well, I know Bill Canales, who runs the San Diego Invitational, he actually recruited a whole lot of guys that worked at the London show to fly over and work at the San Diego Invitational.
Nice.
I'm sure.
And these are guys he's really gotten to know well. So you see a lot of the same faces at that one.
I have a quick question. So I still have, my bill paying job, but what did you guys do during your apprenticeship and whatnot? Like, what was your second job?
Go
Well,
ahead.
mine, mine involved certain particulars that we'll just kind of skip over, just during the tattoo apprenticeship. But other than that, man, I worked a few temp jobs here and there. I worked a few temp jobs and stuff like that. And then one day I was just like, man, I went home on the break and I literally finished my lunch and I called them up and I said, I quit. And, I had a little bit of money saved up and I committed everything to that job. And I went for it. And thankfully in the next like 3 or 4 months, I was starting to do tattoos for money and stuff. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. You just got to decide one day and, try to set yourself up. Live kind of meagerly for a while or humbly as you can and go for it.
So I was a stripper. I'm not going to lie. No, I'm joking. No one would want to see that. So I actually went through my apprenticeship while I was still in college, which was a challenge to say the least. But I found a way through the university I went to go through and do a whole bunch of independent studies and work studies to get college credits for actually going through the apprenticeship. So that really, really helped. But on top of that, I was also working part-time, and I was actually working for the university I was going to. And I was like one of their computer lab techs. So basically you sit in the computer lab and make sure no one tries to steal anything. And no one's trying to set the place on fire or anything like that. And that worked really, really well. I graduated from college and still had a little bit to go in my second apprenticeship. So I kind of left everything there, went up, was like a week out from finishing my second apprenticeship, and then got a call back from the university I was working for. Long story short, they wanted me to go and work for them full time. And, so I did that while tattooing for a number of years. So I was a certified workaholic. When you're putting in 80 hours a week worth of work, you get burnt out pretty quickly. So that didn't last for a whole lot. But so I was working in IT and with computers and technology and that kind of stuff while I was an apprentice, and for a short period of time after I was done my apprenticeship while I was starting to tattoo.
Yeah, I just put my month in of leaving, so I'm now just going to be tattooing. But I just wanted to know that. I think that's like because I that's what I always wanted to know is what artists do before they actually get the job, and how they managed to draw while they had that job and do their apprenticeship at the same time, because I know that's a difficulty. And I'm happy that at least the apprenticeship is done, so I can just tattoo full time now and focus on that. It's a little bit of a relief, but I know it's a struggle for a long time before you get confident in making money from it, to draw and practice the tattooing stuff and doing your job on top of that so you can pay your bills.
Yeah,
So
one of the things I'm always advising like young people is to if they can, and often having the intention as the first part of being able to, is to find gigs inside of what it is that you want to do, right? So like if you can get a job at a sign making company or a whatever, even a t-shirt printing company, or in a place where there is art being used for commercial purposes, Joey Cap was, airbrushing at the mall. There's also, you can also, scrounge out if you're talking about minimum wage kind of gigs too, which is not everybody's case, of course, but certainly starting off, then, if you could sell, a $15 t-shirt or a $25 jacket, every hour or two for a couple hours, somewhere, you can find jobs, inside of the industry that you're doing, right? Now, a lot of people aren't that lucky. It depends on where you are, et cetera. What art you're in, et cetera. But like for musicians, working at the music store, teaching music lessons, et cetera. But yeah, again, we're not also lucky to be able to catch gigs that are, related to what we're ultimately going to do. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people change.
Yeah, I know a lot of artists that did that, and I didn't actually find out until I started meeting different artists. I was like, oh man, I should have done that. So, so I've done all sorts of things, but definitely for people that don't have a lot going around in their neighborhood, as far as artist jobs that aren't what you want to basically do, finding like jobs where you're at a desk doing nothing but answering phones is like a fun thing, because you can draw at the same time. Like being a secretary at a hotel where you're just taking people in, you can draw, or you can take, like overnight shifts at a gas station in not a terrible neighborhood that you can draw while managing your little area. That's always stuff I try to find as well.
That's awesome. Sounds like you got it together.
Oh, I mean, I don't. I work at U-Haul. It's not one of those jobs.
Yeah.
That's ideally what you should do.
Yeah. I think
But,
it's great.
yeah. But that's what you definitely should be doing. But that's fun that you guys had those cool kind of jobs.
Man. I think the
And
last job I
define
worked at was
cool,
data entry. Go ahead, Jason.
Dude, oh, that's not fun.
No, it wasn't. It's terrible.
I was gonna say I was a professional nerd, so I mean it has helped. I have started to utilize some of those skills, especially doing stuff like this, and that's really been a godsend, because sitting down and saying, okay, we need to do a live web stream. How am I going to get this together, and what tools am I going to use to make this happen? What kind of things can I do to help separate this live stream from other ones? That's all part of stuff that I used to do back when I got hired back by that university. So I used to go through and work for an online and digital learning department where I went to college. That's what I did full time after I graduated and after I got done my apprenticeship, back when I was working about 80 hours a week. And that was not easy. There was a lot involved there. There were a lot of really late nights. There were a lot of, being up until 4 a.m, turning around, getting 2 hours of sleep, waking back up at 6:30 just to commute back to the office, go back to work there for 8 hours so that I could commute back home, have just enough time to change and get something to eat, and then get my butt to the studio to start working on whatever tattoos I had going on that night.
And you
it's
still had
not
time
an
to
easy
cry.
life. Oh yeah, well, I mean, I factored that in on bathroom breaks. I would just break down in the bathroom sometimes. I mean, I still do that quite frequently, to be honest, but
That's your
it's like,
part-time.
oh my God, I got to do this tattoo.
Yeah, you got to
Okay.
get that kind of workout when you're younger too, because like you could still find the time, but the goal as you get older is like, oh shit, I got to get more effective in less time. It's and it takes all that work. It's it doesn't get any easier on the physical body, I guess is all I'm saying.
I completely agree.
Also, the good habits of eating healthy and stretching and doing eye exercises right out of the gate is a million times easier to manage than waiting for shit to like start to break and then realizing you need to correct fucking 15 years of not stretching or whatever.
Yeah, I think getting into good habits early is definitely key.
Yeah, I remember doing one of my first tattoos, like a more than an hour tattoo, and my elbows started to hurt. I was like, I didn't even know your elbows could hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I said that to all the artists, and they just laughed.
Oh, you're in now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
And one of the artists showed me like a I guess a knot that you can get on your elbow if that happens. And I'm like, oh, wonderful. So stretching is very important.
It is.
Yeah,
You know,
stretching
other
is-
parts of the ergonomics, Jason or Ricardo, are either you tattooing standing up, or do you have like the massage table extenders that Adrian Lee's got kicking around, or anything similar? Or
No, I'm gonna start looking into those, man. And I do try to stand up quite a bit. I've raised my table up a little bit from time to time, and that helps out a lot. You know, we talked the other day about changing things up a little bit too. Like, don't set your machine up with the same grip size every time you go to tattoo. You know, that's one big one for your wrist and your hands. Yeah, standing up helps out a lot too. So, what about you, Jason?
So I've got a couple of points of note there. So I've got an ergonomic stool. It's one of those like saddle stools you can get on Amazon.
I have one of
Oh, yeah.
those.
Those alone have saved my back because it forces
Yeah.
you to sit with a straighter posture, right? So I'm not bending over quite as much, and it puts your legs in almost a natural standing position. I also kind of have an added advantage, okay? And I don't know how apparent this is, but I'm short as hell, okay? I'm like way below national average as far as height for guys. So if I'm standing up, most people are probably sitting down where my head would be, right? So like I have that as an advantage. So if I'm working on a forearm and forearm is here, right? It's right at eye level already. I don't have to bend down at all. I can sit with a perfectly straight back and tattoo it. If I'm working on someone's full back, yeah, I've got one of those Tatsol chairs that's hydraulic and that lifts a little bit. But because I'm so short, I don't have to go up super high with it. So I do have that kind of an added advantage. So, I mean, if I got one of those like table risers, it would probably make my massage table too tall.
Nice. Do you hear that? Hear that, shorties? They might be making fun of you now, but it's gonna be benefiting you if you're a tattooer in the future.
Absolutely, man. I laugh at everyone that's like 6 foot or above and they're doing tattoos. And like, oh man, my back is killing me. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I got nothing. Sorry, don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like Steve Moore is a very tall, lanky kind of a tattooer guy. I wonder what he's up to with that kind of stuff. He's so good, Steve Moore. Whenever we bring up all the Canadians, it's always amazing to think of everybody. Oh, cool. So
there is definitely something in the water up there, man. There has to be.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat you are, Jason. I'm like 5'6", dude. So it has its advantages for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ricardo, my life's goal is to be 5'6", okay? And that ain't ever gonna fucking happen. All right.
How tall
Like
are
that
you?
is my dream in life, is to at least be 5'6". And yeah,
Oh, man.
that will never happen as long as I am alive. Unless I like break out the platform shoes and whatnot.
Gotcha.
I can make fun of it because obviously I've been this short my whole life. Don't know if you guys knew that, but it's it's something I've gotten used to, and like I regularly make fun of myself for it. So, because when you've heard every short joke in the book, it's like, oh, really? You're gonna make fun of me for that? Because you couldn't find anything else to make fun of me for. You have to go for the low-hanging fruit, really?
Yeah.
Like, come on, come up with something original.
Right.
it's funny. You sound like Marcus. This seems to be a common theme throughout humanity.
Right? It's like, we're tattooers. You should get creative with what you make fun of me about.
And I've heard those short jokes a million motherfucking times. I'm sick of them. I'm not even sick of them. I'm so fucking sick of them that I can't even be bothered. Fucking, do something real creative.
It's like, really? I'm short? You're just now noticing?
Yeah.
Did you just get the memo on that? Like, come on.
I did. I had no idea how tall you were because all I've seen you
Oh,
do is
dude.
video.
Trust me, if we met in real life, you'd be like, wow, on screen, you're like much taller.
I'm gonna be texting Marcus right away and be like, Marcus, I found somebody way shorter than you. And he's gonna be like, fuck you. You think I haven't heard that before?
Yeah, no, for real, really. I'm not
Yeah,
fucking
no,
with you.
if he's really that short, though, I'm interested to hear how tall he is because I may
No,
be shorter.
I have no idea how tall Marcus is, but every once in a while, it's fun to razz people.
Oh,
get
he'd
it.
meet me and feel like a giant instantly, guaranteed.
He's great, though. I love Marcus. I visited him a couple of years ago over in Berlin and hit up some of the old bunker ruins. It's a crazy country over there in Germany. It's we did hit one of the Holocaust, one of the death camps. That was pretty intense. Oof.
Yeah,
He's another one of those guys that like I've been looking up to since I started really like trying to figure out tattooing. I would just look at his work and just be like, wow.
Yeah,
Like,
fire it up for people.
Did they get cheat codes? Like, are they using the Konami code during tattooing?
Yeah. Fire up. Can you screen share some of his work?
Marcus?
With people? Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
He's out of control. Kira, do you know Marcus Leonard's work?
I don't. Is it bad that I say I don't?
No, not at all. This is cool. This is one of the reasons why we do this, right? Check this out. He's such a precise, awesome person. He's a precisely awesome person.
And he is knowledgeable, man. He has got a wealth of information.
Those are my favorite people.
Yeah, he'll tell you how he feels too. Because, okay, yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah, man, his stuff is amazing. Look at that.
Dude, like,
That's awesome.
look at the textures,
I
right?
was
The
just
texture
saying it.
contrasts. Look at those large areas of shapes and gradient, right? And look at how anatomically it's like flawless.
Bam.
There's no way he doesn't know his muscle groups.
Yeah, no.
That guy's been eating
definitely
his Wheaties.
Look at that, man. That's another level of tattoo.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And that's one of the sleeves he's done.
His palettes are amazing.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I've seen
uses a
some of
lot
it.
of muted tones, contrasting with some very, very bright, pure saturated tones.
Yeah.
If you guys see one you want to take a deeper look at, by the way, just let me know.
Yeah, click that one.
Because this one?
Well, that one too. Yeah, I was gonna say the blue one, but all these are all fucking. Yes.
It's crazy.
The way he uses focus is insane.
Right? I wonder if he's got some closer shots.
Wouldn't it be the first time someone called me crazy?
Look at the way that tattoo moves as that guy is stretching out his body.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
I like the teals too. It's like the what is it? The more intense blue of the same color spectrum against that lighter tone. You know, like less intense. That establishes that like that mid ground to background kind of dissipation. It's pretty cool, man. And then that black right above it.
One thing that really impresses me with this piece, perfect example, is look at his use of like saturated color tones, right? So he's got this very, very intense saturated blue in the background.
Yeah.
And then he's got a very intense, very bright, vibrant red and neutral with everything else. You'll see a little bit of like orange here and there and like a little bit of that like greenish tone as if he were to mix straight in with that teal. But like, look at his use of neutral colors along with like super intense colors.
Yeah, like the intensity
He's a
value. Yeah.
master. A
Yeah.
master at it.
And then that's also matched with the like fuzziness of the background too, right? And
Right.
Right?
but the high contrasty fuzziness as it fades out, like with the sharp outlines and the
What
Just
I-
the focus and detail is amazing.
Yeah, I love the fact that he used that green on that right shoulder there. Like that's not blue, that's definitely green. And
Yeah.
it just complements that red. And I love that he used complementary colors in this. And the fact that red
Mhm.
and green make brown just makes this whole thing come together. That's a good transition color between the two.
It almost seems as though he went from the blue into like a yellow ochre,
Yeah.
right? To make that green.
Yeah. Yeah.
That blue, that green has the same intensity as some of those blues, you know, and then when you start mixing some of those reds that he used into that, you're easily going to take it back down to like a neutral tone again. So that's incredible. And that's, once again, that's one of many of his pieces.
Well, the cool part about that is too is like how close those colors are together, and like she said, you can mix them together to make these other tones that
Right.
it's the way light would actually play on a surface. It doesn't change the entire color at all. It just changes the intensity of it when it moves over different dimensions, different parts
Yeah.
of the surface. You know, so
Yeah.
it's a really awesome manipulation. Well, look at those leaves.
Yeah. I was just gonna say those leaves are awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, the way it wraps around
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, his use of composition is,
Wow.
it's on another level.
Yeah, I love the texture on those like long shapes.
I like the way he ended it, not with just like a straight line, like the positive negative
negative
space above
shapes.
that eight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking radical.
he
Look
does
at-
like
look at also
seminars
the
where
level of, I was going to say, look at the level of texture that he used in some of those more organic shapes.
Yeah.
Next to the texture and the smoothness of those leaves to
Yeah.
help contrast and bring those forward.
Yeah. Pretty awesome.
I was going to say part of his seminars is he's taking people through the woods and collecting reference, custom reference and shit, and working with it. The next day, he's always thinking. He's thinking that Marcus guy.
You know, that's cool, man, that you said that, Gabe,
Marcus guy, man.
because that area right there by the elbow, right inside the ditch, that there's that, like, what is that color? Like a creamy kind of texture, like almost like a root. Yeah, right there.
Right here.
It looks like the root of a tree almost, like where you could see that's that segmented area where it breaks into the other parts of the trunk of the tree and stuff. You know what I mean? It's pretty incredible looking. That's wild that you were just saying about the going into the woods, because that's what I thought it looked like as a tree. It's fucking incredible.
I would be surprised if he, didn't take those reference. He might have probably taken them with a client.
That's cool, man. Very
Yeah,
cool.
what I
And-
appreciate too is that these leaves are ginormous. If we
Yeah.
really think like that, those leaves are covering the majority of that deltoid,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which I appreciate.
And then you're able to see it from further away too. Like
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
taking the whole piece in a much bigger scale. Yeah. That's fucking radical, man. Yeah, I stumbled upon him a few years back, dude, and it's just mind blowing. It's fucking awesome.
He was in the old reinventing forums pretty heavily.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him in there quite a few times.
I guess he he got a little sharp with somebody, but I think that they recently rejoined the new community, or the new reinvented community. But he's known for his opinions. He'll tell you all about them.
Yeah.
It's good though. It's great.
You should be able to have your own opinion and be able to have a conversation for sure.
Yeah. Well, as long as you're not wasting anybody's time.
Yeah, it's true.
Life's short.
Yep. That's
Cool.
awesome. Does he have any of his newer black and gray stuff up?
No, but
You might want to find him on that Instagram. He's got his is it Luxotera Black? Is that what
Yeah.
it is?
I think so. I think I heard something about that.
Is the link right there? The link might be right there in the
Uh,
description.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this shit is fucking insane.
Now,
Oh,
because each
no.
photo is desaturated, it makes me wonder if they were done in color and these are just for contrast, or if they were actually done in with nothing but black and gray.
Near positive they're all black and gray, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
Look at his use of focus.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's great, dude. Look at that.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love seeing the same value be stretched that far to help with that a negative relation that it's next to that helps that shape, man. It's incredible. It's like a total mastery, like being able to use tones like that. That's fucking incredible too. Yeah, you see like the way it curves down and stuff, you know, it just follows the contours of those lines and such. And it's just the same field throughout that whole movement. So it's really cool. Manipulates
One
your
thing
eye.
that I've always loved about his pieces is that he has mastered the way to move your eye through a whole composition and
Yeah.
have you look at one spot.
Yeah. He wants you to see the first thing and then fall into it after that. Yeah.
Right.
Focal
Yeah, the
point.
first thing
Yeah.
I see is that calf.
Yep.
I keep staring at it.
Right.
I want to go into it.
Because
Don't
if
look at
you
the
made
right.
that whole like bottom part black, it just wouldn't work out. The fact that there's like one square of like a light, like a more light value right underneath the arc of it.
Mhm.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, why don't we do masters and threes, right? So let's pick two more people to discover and cruise through.
Oh, man.
But they have
There's
to be
one
somebody
guy I
that
came up.
somebody
Have you
that
guys
Kira
ever
hadn't
heard of
of
Matt
before.
Driscoll?
Oh, I
Who's
love
that?
Matt Driscoll.
Okay, well, yeah, we need to, Matt's
was a
awesome, and everyone should
good one.
definitely check him out. Let's cruise through people Kira hasn't heard of though.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I'd name anybody. I probably.
Well, that's what we're doing. Although
How
absolutely,
about
Raptor Laser is Matt Driscoll. Everyone should definitely check him out.
Yeah, he's the
Absolutely.
best. Nicest kid.
how about Calais Corson?
I
No.
don't know.
Yeah, dude. That stuff's awesome.
All right, let
Yeah.
me
Is
see.
that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah. Yeah, I got to
Calais.
meet him in Puerto Rico.
Oh, nicest person, I swear. Oh, fun.
Yeah.
See, anybody that can do a whole bodysuit is just insane.
Yeah, I
those waves are
love
great.
what he does with like focus and some of his larger scale pieces and how you really get the
Oh,
sense that there's water moving over this snake, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I love the way that snake is placed. That's a
Yeah.
It's a
great
very
placement for it.
selective use of black line,
Yeah.
which has always blown my mind.
Yeah.
Are those
Nobody,
leaves
you
like
can,
a lighter toned outline? They
Yep.
are.
Is that
Wow.
like that there's a negative space on them.
yeah, almost like a negative line.
Yeah.
You can tell he uses a lot of black and gray value in his primary subject matter too. Like even from the tips of those leaves,
Yeah.
you can tell that he's using like a very nice medium gray wash in that to kind of accent and bring those colors down a bit,
Yeah.
you know, so that all of these nice reds and pinks will come forward a little bit more.
Yeah. Leaves that unfiltered area even higher focus and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, again, dude, the rolls and the waves and such, man. I love it when you see how fresh it is. There's that piece next to the left of the graffiti,
Yeah, here.
the waves, yeah. So you can see how fresh like all that washes, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And even the background, you see how like maroon it is, and it's like I love that effect. I mean, I love that freshness because like you can tell how smooth it's gonna be once it's all healed up, you know. And then
Right.
And then like for that previous piece that we saw, the way the waves just, again, kind of like that Marcus Leonard stuff, the way it helps that line work move that much more.
Right. Really moves your eye around the whole piece.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, putting that wave there like that really makes your eye go up.
Yep.
Yeah, wow.
Rocking.
I like his use of space. He really takes up everything and puts, it to use.
Yep. The full body suit.
Yeah, he's got lots of full body suits, man.
Yeah, man.
Lots of them. And it's primarily what he does.
Wow.
So, I mean, I could go on and
Yeah,
on.
well, dig
with
into
different-
another detail. One more bodysuit to look into. How about that front there?
His gradient is so soft.
Man,
It
that's
really
killer.
is.
Now, a couple of things I would like to point out with this, and let me see if it's still going to share if I do this. Is that still sharing?
No.
Yeah, we got your desktop now.
Put the porn away.
Ricardo, you're next in trying to find the Have You Heard game. Have you heard of game?
Okay.
You got a little bit of time to think though.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm like racking my brain right now.
The best person you've never heard of.
Man, this Philippe Lou is like the first one that popped in my head for sure.
Well, so Kira, you know Philip Liu?
I do not.
Oh, awesome! There you go. Bam.
Cool. Okay.
You're welcome to your new addiction for sure. This guy's amazing. He's been tattooing almost his entire life. Like he was raised in a tattoo family.
That's always the best. Don't you love those stories? Ugh.
Yeah. This dude is, yeah. I can only imagine like being tattooed by this guy, man.
So
This dude was like
he's
a heavy inspiration on me when I first started too. I've just studied his like waves and dragons and stuff like nonstop, dude.
The Liu family, legendary. One of the few people that I definitely got a little too fanboy tongue-tied to really do an effective job communicating.
Yeah.
I mean, I've babbled plenty, but
Mhm.
because I don't know how to communicate necessarily.
Mhm.
But I knew how to communicate by the time I was talking to him. And I was like, I do a convention. I'd really like it. And if you would consider coming, okay, gotta go by.
Dude, I know, man.
Oh,
Damn,
shit.
Gabe. That's fucking great.
But
This is one of my favorite pieces that he's ever
Dude.
done.
Yes, that negative dragon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude. I mean, look at that.
can you
It's
zoom
just-
in?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know if it'll let's see.
I'm pinching and zooming. You can pinch and zoom on your screen.
You got some fancy equipment there. Well, it's okay. It still looks pretty sick. There we go. Yeah.
Dude, man. And look at all those. It's just all isobars and waves and negative space. Dude, it's fucking incredible. Yeah, that shit.
It's all
Man.
playing on a slideshow, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, let's sit back and watch the ride, I guess.
Look at that thing, dude. That's fucking incredible.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yep.
use of symmetry versus
He's got a
asymmetry.
couple good videos.
Yeah, those chrysanthemums are fucking nuts. Yeah, dude.
I really love the way he moves your eye through the whole body.
Yep. And then another somewhat of a little known fact is that he just draws everything on there too.
Yeah.
Like everything's just all freehand. Like it just draws it all on, man.
All freehand?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep, it's all
Look at
drawn
that.
on. Fucking incredible. Yeah, when I first saw this stuff, I was like, that's what I want to be. I want to be that. That's what I want to be. And when I grow up, I want to be this dude.
I think
Man.
every tattooer at one point in time has said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and he's come through so many genres of tattooing too, man. Like so many different styles and stuff. And like He was around for like the 80s, you know what I mean,
Wow.
movement, some 90s movement. And then it just comes back to this collection of just giant bodysuits. It's fucking awesome.
I love that one. Ah, these are so good.
Yeah, I remember meeting him at London the last time I was there, and I got him to sign his book on dragon claws.
Nice.
I was one of the like first 10 people
Oh,
there to
yeah.
buy it. I was
Yeah.
waiting in line for like a half hour, and I think there were only 2 other people ahead of me. And he came over and he started like signing them. And I was like, you know, I shook his hand. You know, first time I got to see him, because in Paris, apparently I had just missed him.
Ah.
And I was really upset about that.
Yeah.
But I got to meet him in London and actually shake his hand and talk to him and just thank him for everything he's done for the community of tattooers out there. And, you know, really, really nice, just very humble guy.
Yeah. I've never met him in person, but hopefully I don't fucking like crap myself whenever I do meet him, if I do meet him.
I feel like people do that naturally. They
Yeah.
don't mean to do it, but they just are so excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I brought this up before, but I had that total fanboy experience where I was in Puerto Rico at the Puerto Rico show one year, and I was sandwiched in between, you know, 5 of my favorite tattooers in the world, and I was like, I have to go. Like, I'm not worthy to breathe the air in this area right now, so I need to take a few steps back.
Yeah, man.
And you know, it just puts you on a whole new level of just respect when you get to talk to these guys, and you get to find out that they're just like everyone else, you know?
Yeah.
You just sleep a little less and work a little more. Hey, actually, so real quick, show off Driscoll's work. I didn't mean to. I had a game in mind, but we definitely want to show off his work. It's great.
I got a funny fanboy story, man. I shared it with Gabe the other day in a message. I recently posted these 3 oil paintings that I had, and the first time I oil painted was at Jeff Gogoy's shop in Grants Pass, and he's like walking us through, and like the second day I do the skull painting and stuff like that, man. We come in on the 3rd day, and he'd already been there beforehand. He was digging the painting. And he was talking about stretching it on the canvas, trying to figure out how to stretch it on the canvas for me and stuff. And I was like, oh man, thanks. I made it for you.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. I was just like, I made it for you, dude. And he kind of looks at me and goes, thanks, dude. And then like walks away from me. But it was the same fucking deal. Cause like I was there, Aaron Bell was there, dude. Damon Conklin was there. Mike Cole was there, dude. Like he had been getting tattooed by Jeff like the day we showed up, and I was just shitting myself the entire fucking time. I'm like, what am I even doing in this room? These guys are gonna look at my shit and just like not like it at all. And so, you know what I mean? I was like, damn, dude, what am I gonna do? And I tripped up all over myself. It's fucking hilarious, dude. So fucking funny.
Dude, when you're in a room like that and you're surrounded by people like that are, you know, industry leaders in the genres of tattoos that they do, it's like,
yeah,
it's hard not to fanboy out, you know?
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm pretty sure I didn't sleep for the next couple nights. Like, what the fuck did I say? What did I say? I made it for you. What the fuck?
Like a little.
That doesn't sound creepy at all.
I know, dude. I know. Tell me about it, right? I made it for you.
I just wanted to mention about Matt how I want to learn color from him so bad. I have so many questions.
That's great. Man, that is good looking.
Yeah, his use of like warms and cools to create the contrast really move things through the space.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. He did another painting too that's like that, but it's got a lot more vibrant colors. It's better if you actually just,
You know what?
orange is great.
There's one more guy I would recommend for sure after this, dude, if we have time for it.
Oh, dude, I can end the session whenever, man. We could be on here until 8 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, we can do it.
Oh, that purple, that skull. Sorry, that the skull in the middle. Yeah, that one.
That
Yeah.
one
Wow.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because each color is just as equally just so vibrant.
Right.
Yeah, he's using the temperature of the color to create the shadows and the highlights.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, and then that black, man, that just makes it all just that contrast is just electric.
Yep.
It's like the Predators looking at it.
Yeah. It's a great painting. I have so many questions.
It's awesome, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Tim Biedron.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Tim Biedron is hands down one of my like top fucking echelon tattooers for sure.
What's the origin of hands down?
I don't know.
Why would
Like,
because I understand it and it's loud
wow.
and clear.
I guess I would say, normally you'd raise your hands up to ask a question or something like that. And if you put your hands down, there's just no question about it, I suppose.
Ah, there you go. Okay. Well, I'll look it up. Yeah. Beam in.
Texture.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. Look at that Grim Reaper.
This one?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, it's funny. So he went live on Instagram a few nights back,
Mhm.
and I just remember sitting down watching his process
Mhm.
and was just blown away by his insane attention to detail.
Yeah.
And when you have such high areas of detail mixed with such high areas of non-detail,
Mhm.
Yeah.
negative space, all the solid black, it really helps all of that detail come forward more.
Yeah.
But you can tell he also focuses quite a bit on his light source and his use of light source
Right.
to create the volume in what he does.
The cool part, Jason, we talked a while back, like one of the first times I came in and zoomed in with you was the composition being an important factor. That's that underlying, structure for an image to look cohesive. And this dude nails it. Like as far as all the underlying angles and everything like that, man, there are so many like triangles that intersect with each other and all of his work. It's unreal.
Yeah, let's just pull this one up for a real quick example.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
looking at
fucking
his
good.
use of black line in this to create a boundary and a borderline, but still having, and I wonder if I can actually go through your notes here. I think that would be cool. So, one thing that we can really look at, and of course my tablet's screwing up on me. Look at the angles that are being created, right? With the use of his line, look at the paw, look at the angle of the skull, all of that stuff is, all factoring in,
Yeah.
and it's creating that motion.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. It's a little bit of it. Let's see.
Yeah, Tim Biedron, man, that stuff is fucking incredible.
I love the skull in the jaw. I keep looking at that. I kind of want him to. I wish he could have turned his arm a little bit because I just want to see that from complete side view.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like the top jaw, but it doesn't look like it's eating the skull, but it still looks like it's there, like it belongs there. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like
that's awesome.
it fits into its space that it's set in, is what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got, you also have like these angles coming back down and around.
Right.
You've got this angle bringing your eye up.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of like negative halo space over here to really put focus and emphasis on this paw.
Yeah.
You notice that coming around the head too. That helps bring your eye back here to put more emphasis on that.
Yep.
These areas of dark trees in the background are nowhere near as dark as if you look at like the tip of the nose versus those trees. So those are just like one step down from true black. So that's once again going to increase your contrast in your subject matter, in your focal point, that's really going to allow you to go through and put more emphasis there, really bring that more to the front than having that merge in with some of these darker areas in the background.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have that the point of the ear, the wolf's like right ear, and then you have where his right hand would be kind of holding onto the back of the jaw, and then the top left of the head on the skull. If you kind of like follow that connect the dots line, you definitely see a triangle right there, and that kind of pulls it in. Like if you look at the center of this guy's arm, it's almost right in the middle of that triangle that he's established with just those 3 points,
Right.
you know. And then you have on the opposite end of the spectrum how it kind of intersects into that right ear, even as from those same points too, man. It's just, and then you can come over to the background by the trees and everything, and then that circle part that you're talking about and everything too, dude. And then you have the thirds too. You know, the majority of the picture is broken into thirds, where there's that entire background. You have the midground for the face on the wolf, and then you have that entire portion for the mouth and the skull itself too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like he does middle ground, foreground, and then background back here.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very good use of the rule of thirds.
Yep. Big time. Yeah, man, his
That's
stuff is
all-
sound. What's up?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I just love the fact that you can manipulate with muscle groups, which that's why I love tattooing too, because you can really use the muscle groups to your advantage, and putting it this way definitely did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. Look at that.
It's so clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the other thing about his stuff. It's fucking just super crisp. Yeah.
Kiri, what other upcoming freebie tattoos do you have planned, or what kind of like subject matter, or is there any sort of, or do you just kind of take that as they come through?
Well, I kind of just basically discuss with myself what my problems are, and then I'm like, well, let's figure out a piece that we'd like to do that's fun, and we can still have fun, but at the same time figure out how to fix this problem.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. And then do you have an idea for your next one yet, or are you still figuring that one out after this one?
Well, I'm definitely gonna finish the little sage thing. I already have it. Let me see here. I already have it colored. Problem is, where did I put it?
Oh, my phone is about to die. I guess mostly I'm wondering, yeah, if there's stuff that people can help you with right away. Oh yeah, cool.
Just magnum control really is my biggest problem right now, is getting control of my magnum.
Cool.
When I know needles are referred to as paintbrushes, and I love using small round paintbrushes. So obviously I'm gonna have problems when it comes to mags. So tips on magnum control, anybody?
Low and slow.
Mhm.
Low and slow.
It's a collected
Seriously.
amount of saturation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that took me a long time to figure out, that I was never really taught per se, was that you don't have to move your machine super fast in order to saturate skin. A lot of times it comes down to your technique. And a lot of times it comes down to, what angle do you have your mag set at? Do you have a lot of needle hang and you're kicking it way back? And just kind of like letting it glide along the top of the skin, or are you holding it more at a 90-degree angle and trying to use it more like a marker? Each one of those is going to have different machine settings, different benefits, and different, disadvantages. So, I think it all kind of depends on what techniques you're using at said time.
Yeah, I use it more like I'm trying to think to put it at a 90-degree angle, and I do run them pretty as low as I possibly can to do work, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay, so one thing I've picked up on, and this may help with your Magnum control a little bit. What I've generally found as far as, my experience trying different techniques and, utilizing different techniques, etc., is that if you're trying to hold it more at a 90-degree angle, generally speaking, you can't run it very slow if you're going to be doing that. You got to crank that thing up. If you're holding it at a 90-degree angle, completely vertical, right? And you're trying to use it to, either tease out color, or you're trying to use it like a marker to just like saturate an area super fast, you're going to need to run it a little bit faster. I mean, I used to know a guy that used to take a large grouping, hard hitting, super fast liner, and he would throw a 15 mag in that and use that for color. And it's like, huh? Like, what are you doing? You're going to tear someone apart. But he just barely touches the tips of that mag to the skin. He's not burying it. He doesn't need a whole lot of, downward force on it. He's literally like painting on the skin with it. And it moves fast enough that he's getting full color saturation. And his blends are silky smooth. And he knows that he's going to go through and do this area and then move to this area and then come back to this area once it's calmed down, maybe hit that again if there are some holidays. But he runs that machine so hard and so fast that you ask yourself, how are you able to tattoo like that and not completely scar someone up? It's one of the ways that he does it, but he holds it at a 90-degree angle the entire time. If you're running it lower and slower, generally speaking, instead of having it, straight vertically, maybe kick it back quite a bit at an angle, let it bog down in the skin a little bit, right? And let it get that grip and just kind of coast it through. Do your small circles and massage it into the skin. Those are all little, you don't need as much needle hang if you're going to do that. You're going to work at pretty much the same pace, but because you're holding it back at such an extreme angle, right? Think about a phlebotomist, someone that takes blood for a living or, gives injections or whatever. You never see them go for a vein straight up and down. You never see that, right? You always see them kick that thing way back and just kind of slide it right under the skin, right? Why? Because there's less resistance. You're stretching the skin, like you should have a good stretch to begin with, but you're stretching the skin as you're moving those needles into it, right? Because they're pushing forward. And if you go in at an extreme angle, you're going to go in far easier, right? Because it's not going to take quite as much force. So you don't have to run your machine as hard. You don't have to run it quite as fast because that there's going to be less skin resistance there, so you can take your time and just coast through it, right? Where if your machine's up at a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle, you're going to have to do something to compensate for the elasticity of the skin. You're going to have to run it a bit harder because it's going to take a bit more force to go straight up and down with it as opposed to kicking it all the way back. And I forget if I still have the video up on my profile. I might. From the last time I went live when I was coloring in my buddy's flames. But you can actually see me using that kind of a technique where I'm just taking it and I'm just like massaging it in super slow. And you're just seeing solid color all the way through. And like I got off the phone with him the other day. He was supposed to come in so we could finish those flames. He actually just took a job for what he does, where he's actually working and cleaning out septic tanks. So I have to wait for him to be done with that project until he can come back in, just so that he doesn't risk infection or anything. Because Lord knows that's a dirty job.
What?
So you can see that in there.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's what I'm kind of been searching for too, is to make as little passes as possible and saturate as most as possible. So that's a good thing too to think about. So I'll definitely take that into account.
Yeah, and these are
Um,
all like little things I've picked up along the road. Everyone's
Yeah,
got
it's
different
always small
techniques they
things.
prefer.
Yeah. Yeah, because right now my tattoos are taking too long. It feels like only because I am so
There is no
concerned
such thing.
about.
Yeah, I was just about to say,
There is no such. You have to
yeah.
get that idea out of your head.
yeah,
Seriously.
exactly.
Like I dealt with that for a long time. I worked in a busy street shop. It was
Yeah.
get them in, get it done, and get them out, because you
Yeah.
got the next one coming in 10 minutes.
Or they're already
Yeah,
here
that's,
with you.
that's
If
how
you-
basically it went.
Right.
So
Well, if you take the time and you step back and you say, you know what, I would rather do it slow and right
Yeah.
than fast and wrong, and you get that into your head early, trust me when I say you're going to save yourself a ton of time.
Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely
I
right.
made that mistake for years,
Good point,
and
Jason.
it took, yeah, it's crazy, but that's one of the things I've picked up on.
Yeah, and the one thing that I could say, and I don't tattoo, so I just observe. But like, if there's a significant panel of tattooers there, and someone's showing off the work, and everyone's looking at it, and someone's then's like, "Yeah, I did that in 4.5 hours." You did not impress a single one of them. Like, not a single one is like, "Oh wow, we're so
Yeah, yeah.
excited that you did that in 4." Like, they're just really looking, at how well it was,
Yeah.
and then just mentally, you say that shit to people, and then, or they're looking for shit that you should have fucking noodled on a little bit longer. You're like really tempting them. You're like, "Hey, can you find anything else that you might have done if you spent another hour or two on it?"
So then what can
Well,
you say about the clients that, don't want to come back to pay for another session? And getting it done as little as, as in little sessions as possible. How do you get them to come back?
you gotta put yourself out there and explain to them that you're trying to give them the best that you can. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you will have some people, no matter what you do, have some people that falter off because of the money or because of the time and stuff like that. But man, you just want to try to convey to them that you're trying to do the best for them that you can without damaging their skin or making a bad tattoo. You don't want to give them some bullshit tattoo.
Right now you're shifting over, right? Like, so it's not like you're a master
God, no.
tattooer. I would definitely be set. A lot of it's about setting expectations, and educating people from the beginning. If you
Yes.
want it to look the way that it looks in my portfolio, this is the process that it takes. You're going to have to come back, but that's okay, because then it's going to look awesome, and we're going to take our time. We're not going to fuck it up. And, at the end of the day, you're still getting a good deal, because, other people are going to charge you twice as much to do this, and half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always,
But a lot of it's just crafting the clientele. It's not simple crafting the clientele, but it's also, you want to kind of set the expectations. And again, mostly it's a matter of communicating and educating. And but if through your website or through your Instagram or wherever it is that you're promoting, if you start just setting that expectation right from the get-go, then that's just kind of, you start attracting the people that want that quality, regard. And here's the thing, right? Like, any real tattoo collector is also going to look at it and say, should have had a second session. And the way you really do it is, that's why you're doing these freebies. Make sure that those people in particular are coming back until it's done, like done. I mean, at this point, you have to get it by a couple of people before it's done now. I mean, obviously your mentor is the main one, but you want to make sure that you're using those as your showcase pieces, so that when people are like, "Oh, I want something like that," you'll be like, "Okay, well, that took 3.5 sessions, but I think I could probably do it in 3 now," that kind of thing. But what you put out there, and promote, is what will end up coming in. It's what you're attracting. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't put out kanji or faith upside down to get as much business as you can in the beginning. Other people might disagree, but certainly the force at work is, you put it out there and educate people, and that's what you attract. And how hard-lined you are about other people or walk-ins or something in that, is kind of up to you. I mean, it's all up to you and your mentor.
The speed
Yeah.
comes with time.
Yeah, I
Yep.
do have a question for you. Do you have, like Gabe was saying, do you have friends of yours that you can tattoo for like almost nothing? You know what I mean? Or like they can.
Yeah,
you know,
I do that. I have friends that come and I once a week and I tattoo them, or once every other week and I tattoo them. And we
Nice.
continue on whatever piece, or I just do something small that I just want to do. Like, hey, I drew this. You want it? Okay, let's do it, kind of
Perfect.
thing. And so that way I'm not solving problems in front of clients, because that's, I think, the worst possible thing you can do, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to. Yeah, that's exactly why you want to work on people that are your friends and your family.
Yep.
Well, I mean, families. It's a tough one. You always got to make sure you do your best, and then 10 years later, do your best again.
Yeah. Like,
But
you see it and you
yeah,
go,
the point
oh
is,
man,
you
I gotta
definitely
get it.
want to do that on paying clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Gabe.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important. It's important to get all that like experimentation and all those trial and error things out in that circumstance, rather than fumbling around with the person that's paying you for that
Yeah.
tattoo.
Well, and I guess my hesitation about the family too wasn't necessarily even about the quality, because often your blood relatives will be like, yes, I want to sacrifice my skin so that you'll be awesome someday. But mostly for a tattooer that has to go through, decades of evolution. I see a lot of people tattoo their significant others, and then 10 years later are like, oh man, I gotta, maybe just have regrets, only because they have to see their own work progress. But then other people tattoo their significant others and they love it, and that's fine. I don't know. Everybody's crazy. Everybody's got their own thing.
I refuse to tattoo my significant others.
I'm the same way.
I won't do it.
Yeah. I've always had to have that discussion with like girlfriends or something like that, man. And they're like, you can give me a tattoo, right? I'm like,
No, but I'll set you up with an appointment with someone else.
exactly. You know what I mean? And
What
you
is
don't
your
want that to,
reasoning?
there's no, well, you don't want to complicate things, and it can get kind of complicated sometimes.
It can get real complicated sometimes, because so like coming from our perspective, like, and I've run into this firsthand, where people may find interest in you because they think they can get free things out of you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I would just rather eliminate that in general, and just not have to deal with that, and just say, hey, listen, like, I'm all about, going out with you and taking you out for dinner and hanging out with you and all that stuff. Just know that I can never tattoo you. Like, so, I'll set you up with someone else, but when it comes down to it, I'm not going to take that risk, because then they want to come in all the time and get stuff done. And then their friends are coming in with them. And then it's like, yeah, that's fine. But like, that's not the way that it should really go. It starts to mix business and pleasure, and that's never a good thing.
No.
I never thought of it like that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Not
think about it
only
like
that-
this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, man. You're on the roll. It's your.
I was going to say, think about it like this, right? Say you're tattooing someone, right? And you're doing some good work. And this is just one example of how doing tattoos on significant others can go wrong, right? So say you get into this really big, elaborate piece, say it's a full leg sleeve or side piece or full back piece or full frontal piece or whatever, right? Say things go south.
Yep.
Well, that's a piece that you will never get to finish.
Oh, that does suck. Oh, oh, you're right.
And not only will you never get to finish it, you'll never get to add it to your portfolio. They're going to end up going to someone else to get it finished, and they might add it to their portfolio, and it's like, and then you got to figure out, okay, well, when can I get them in? Because the only times I'm going to be able to do that and not jeopardize like my bill paying time is to turn around and say, okay, well, I'm going to have to go in on my day off. Now you're sacrificing one of your few days off just to tattoo your significant other.
Yes.
When you may have laundry to do, you may have grocery shopping to do, you may have all kinds of other things to do, and I mean, I only work 5 days a week. So I need those 2 days to get everything done that needs to be done. Otherwise, I'm going to start jeopardizing that. And, then I'm going to be the smelly tattooer at the studio. No one likes the smelly tattoo, right?
Oh, black kids is
No
smelling.
matter how much cologne you use, there's no excuse for not having clean laundry.
It sounds smart when you really think about it. Now, that's a great idea to never
Just as a
tattoo.
general rule of thumb, I won't do it. I know plenty of people that do. The guy that owns the studio I work at, he's been married for, I think, 12 years or something like that, or 15 years, a long time. And he's been working on a bodysuit on his wife, and his wife will come in, once a month for 2 or 3 hours at a time, and that's it. And it's only when he gets a cancellation and she has off, right? So, but it's a full bodysuit, and they've already been married for 12 years.
Well,
They got
you know,
papers on each other.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
yeah, and therein lies there's no real rules. Obviously, everyone's got a wide variety of circumstances and whatnot, right? So,
Right.
but I think that straight across the board, it's the biggest thing is like, if you're going to be, fucking around at work or with your, or mixing the business and pleasure, like it's got to be real serious, because you're really, like, if it goes south, you could really jeopardize, the trust that happens in the workplace. And now, so couples or any of that, like, if you're, again, if you're serious and you're, there's people that really find their true partners, that's great, it's awesome. But on the other hand, watching, people kind of cross the lines multiple times, and all of a sudden there's just distrust, and then there's sides being taken inherently, and that means that there's distrust on both sides all of a sudden. And it could just, the best thing is with any of these things is, think about it, the rule of thumb. But then also when you're like, well, how come they're married, they're together, or he tattoos it, like, well, yeah, everyone, is their own, well, and ultimately everyone pays their own karma, right? So who knows, they might be regretting it in 10 years from now because they've got tattooed for 30 years straight. Imagine trying to have that memory, but maybe it'll always be a good memory. Who knows? And maybe they're going to stay forever together. But anyways, I guess mostly I'm saying is, if you just start taking the client relationship a little frivolously, even though it's a serious, becomes serious, then you just could really be setting yourselves up for, well, again, everybody pays off their own karma one way or another. So I guess there's no real better way. It's just, again, knowing the volume or the amount of regret ahead of time means that you could weigh that out, versus the reward of the situation. And I think, okay, so just to wrap this up, therein lies ultimately, it's like there's every tattooer knows who they'd like to get tattooed by. And so it's almost a compliment of like, hey, wait, actually, I don't necessarily want to tattoo you, but if you go to this person, they're going to do a sick job and I love to look at it every day. And, it's not, I don't know, but again, everybody's different, of course.
Yeah, there's always happy things, but also got to think about the likelihood of other things happening, like y'all ending it and you never see the piece again, which I think is more sad than the ending it is. Say goodbye to a piece you loved.
Trust me on that, and it is not fun.
No. There's a whole lot of conversation that comes afterwards where you're like, man, I don't even want to be around you right now.
Yeah, especially if it does not end on a good note, man. That's the worst.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's difficult. A lot of people have always said to me, like, oh, it must be killer, man. You get this killer job, you make all this money and stuff like that. And it's like, man, you have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. Like, I have almost no social life. Not that it bothers me, you know what I mean? Because I like doing this. But a lot of people would look at your life like it's this luxurious thing, man. But there's a lot of other things like what we're talking about right now, especially that comes into play that you have to think about, and you don't really think about it until you get into it sometimes, right? So there's some words of wisdom from some dudes that have been in it for a while. How about that?
All for the love of the game.
Awful love of the game.
Well, and that's why I tell people, like, I even tell this to my parents. They're like, so when are you gonna settle down and, you know, find someone to be with? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been tattooing for like 11 years. Like, I'm missing the point here. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, you know, like get a significant other and, you know, maybe settle down. I'm like, yeah, I have mine. It's called my job.
Exactly.
Like, I'm married to my career and I'm okay with that. I've accepted that.
Yep. Okay.
And you know what? Hey, someone comes along and wants to join me on my adventures, more power to them. It's going to be a bumpy ride and, you know, can't guarantee I'll be there the whole time, but you know, it's like tattooing has been there long before they would have come into my life, and it'll be there long after they are gone. What to me is going to be the better investment? You know, something that's been there perpetually that will continue to be there, or someone that, for all I know, maybe a little blip on my radar of life. You know, it's kind of a depressing situation when you think about it. And I kind of regret putting it that way, but it's the honest truth, you know. And I swear, I'm not as sad and lonely as I'm making it out to seem like I am. I'm really not. I have a very content life. I have a cat that is a bitch. You know, but I think she loves me, so that's a good thing.
How old's your cat?
She's 6 years old, 5 or
Okay.
6.
How long did it take for her to start calming down and not tearing a bunch of shit up?
What are you talking about? That hasn't happened yet.
Okay. That's awesome.
She does that constantly all the time.
Does she really?
Yeah, she was doing it to the chair I'm sitting in a little bit ago.
That's hilarious. So pay attention to me.
Yeah,
right here.
basically. She gets jealous real quick.
Does she really? That's crazy, man.
Yeah, much like my last ex.
Dang, no.
Only she was jealous
Oh.
because I was working all the time, and when I wasn't working, I was drawing, and when I wasn't drawing, I was painting, and if I
Yeah.
wasn't doing any of that, I was sleeping. So
Yeah.
go figure, right?
All for
Yeah.
the love of the game.
Yeah. That's the price I pay to be able to go anywhere and work and have a great time and meet awesome people such as yourselves. You know,
Yeah, dude, likewise.
Like
Absolutely.
it's, if that's the price I have to pay, I came to grips with the fact that I would have to sacrifice, you know, any kind of a meaningful, significant other relationship. And I'm not saying this is true for everyone. Okay. Everyone is different. There are a lot of people out there that are doing just fine, that, you know, have their significant others and they're supportive and, you know, and they are everything that that person has ever wanted. And you know what? More power to them. I have not found said person yet. So until that happens, tattooing has me, and it's got all of me. You know, so it's like if you have that, great. More power to you. Everyone's situation is different. I don't have that, so I have a cat. So
That's it, just the cat?
yeah, yeah.
You got your work
I mean,
too.
well, no, I do, and I've got Ricardo. I mean, I can
Yeah.
call him any time of day or night, so that's
Boom.
fine. I've got you now. You're in on the mix, and you're not going to get out very easily. Like that's what you realize when you start to really get active in this community. You get sucked in, and
Yeah,
it
dude,
will
I'm
not
hooked.
let go of you.
Hooked.
Like
Yeah, that's the
Ricardo,
exciting
Bruno,
part.
and I were on a Zoom the other day. I think it was it like Wednesday night or something, for like 2.5 hours, right? Outside of like all of this, outside, we were on a Zoom call. Like they just had a question about how I would go about, you know, approaching like a full sleeve while using nothing but the iPad, right? Which
Yeah,
is not very easy. But I've got like a method in place and it makes it really easy. And they were curious about that. So I was like, cool, we'll hop on Zoom. So we hopped on Zoom, you know, at what, like 9 o'clock, and we didn't leave until 11:45.
Yeah.
you know, but
That
that's,
was, that was a
That
good
sounds
that
time,
like
was a
man.
so
great
much
time.
fun.
Oh my God, it was a blast.
Yeah. We
We
started
talked about
talking about all
everything.
kinds of shit too.
Oh yeah, like religion and philosophy and,
Yeah.
you know, different types of iPad apps that you can use to really help streamline your process and become more efficient in what you do, needle groupings. I think we even touched on pigments at one point.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we talked about everything.
Yeah.
That sounds like literally the greatest time ever.
Oh, it was an absolute blast. It was like hanging out with other artists at a tattoo convention, only we weren't at a tattoo convention.
I'm in a tattoo convention in my head all the time. Is that okay?
I
It's like I got the fucking techno music and everything in there. It's just like like all the time, dude. I don't get it.
yeah, keep the beat going. Keep the beat going.
And boots and cats and boots and cats.
I feel like tattoo conventions are when tattoo artists feel most like little kids, and they
Yeah.
sure
God, yeah.
sometimes act like it.
So I started doing this thing every time I work at a new show is like on the day that it opens, right? As I'm wheeling my stuff in to get set up or whatnot, I just like stop at the entrance, hold up the line, and just like close my eyes and just take a couple of really nice deep breaths and just like, yes,
Yeah.
here we go again. I'm at my happy place. Let's get this done.
That's rad,
Right.
dude.
It is, man. And
Taking
I'm
me
a firm
back.
believer when we all die, right? We all
Yeah.
go to our own little special happy place, right? Call it
Yeah.
heaven, call it nirvana, call it whatever you want. The label that you put on it is irrelevant because it's our happy place. It's our place of most profound joy and contentness, right?
Yep.
Mine is a tattoo convention.
Radical.
Which one? I don't know because there are still so many that I want to work at. But it is a tattoo convention. That is where I will be going when I pass on. I know this because that is my true happy place. The chaos, the hustle and bustle, you know, having, you know, thousands of people around you at all the time, you know, bobbing and weaving in between people just to get to the thermal fax so that you can run a stencil, so that you can do the same thing to get back to your booth so you can slap that stencil on them, sit down and actually start tattooing. Like, granted, I have my little S8 stencil printer now, so I don't really have to do that anymore. But that's a side note. But it's like that whole process of the chaos and that feeling of stress that you have. I am at peace when that is going on, you know.
That's bitching, dude.
That, and I always keep a flask of tequila with me, so that always helps.
You know what? Speaking of which, I'm going for a little bit of tequila right now.
Dude, don't get me started drinking this early because then I'm never gonna finish this piece for tomorrow.
Oh man.
And I'm not gonna be able to start working on that 3/4 sleeve. I have to get drawn up by Tuesday.
Should we do whiskey or should we do tequila?
Well, what kind of tequila?
Well, I'm tequila. I have this Casamigos right now, which is
Casamigos
pretty
is
run
good. I like
run of the mill.
Casamigos.
Yeah, it's pretty
Hey,
good.
Oh, that's
like,
the añejo.
Yeah, that's my jam. I like Clase Azul too, man. That stuff's pretty good. I don't know if you ever had that before.
You know, there's a tequila. If you get the chance, see if you can find it. It's kind of hard to find nowadays because I think they stopped making it. But it is my favorite tequila in the world. It is called Tequila Chamucos.
Okay.
And it's wonderful, man. I used to be able to drink it room temperature straight up out of a Dixie cup. At the end of every night, I would pour myself a little bit of it, sit down, draw, paint, work on whatever, and just sip on it all night, dude. And it almost has like a sweet kind of floral finish to it. It's delicious.
Nice. I'll have to check it out. Send me the name if you don't mind.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's I don't think they make it anymore, so I don't know if you'll be able to find it. But when I take that road trip out to come and visit you, I'll bring a bottle of it with me, and I'll if I have another bottle stashed around here somewhere, I'll give you a bottle.
Nice, dude.
But I used to buy myself a bottle every year on my birthday. So
Rocking. Well, that sounds like a special occasion. I'll pick some stuff up for us, man. It'll be fun.
hell yeah, dude. It'll be a great
Are you
time.
are you guys close to each other in travel?
Not in the least bit.
No, I think you're about like what, 12 hours away from me?
12 and a half, something like that.
12 and a
Yeah,
half,
if we
yeah.
drive. I mean, we could probably fly and, cut the time down in like a third, but
Yeah. If I'm gonna come out to you too, man, I'm definitely fucking flying. That's for sure. Like, if
well,
if
yo,
it was-
so the Philadelphia show is going on in September. I don't know if you're going to be ready for that kind of scene yet, but I'm still trying to get things together to try to book that up. So if
okay,
you wanted to come out and like take a look at the Philly show,
yeah,
dude, it would blow your mind, man.
I'm down. Are you working that?
I'm trying to get everything together to make sure that it happens. It was supposed to be held in February,
Mm-hmm.
but that fell through. So
Hey, you want to check this out real quick, Jason?
yeah, dude, let's see how it's coming. Dude, that's killer, man.
There's the roses. Starting to work on one side of the roses. I don't know if you can see it. Is there a glare?
Dude.
Yeah,
There, a little bit, but still, man, that's tight.
Yeah, it's
I
coming
love
together.
the way that's coming together, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm pretty fucking.
I
pumped
almost
about
just
it.
want to stop working on mine because, like, yours is way better than mine.
Nah, dude, fuck that.
Yeah, look at the
Fuck that
detail
shit.
you have in the archway, man. What are you talking about?
Man, I fucking went cross-eyed the other night working on this thing, dude. For real. It
I
was like
can imagine.
at like 12:30 at night. I was like, holy shit, I gotta get to sleep because I wake up at like about 4:45 or 5 a.m. every morning, you know. But I've been putting in some, time on this, man. I really want to. This has been such a fun approach with everybody involved and shit, dude. So I'm so pumped, and I really want to give it my go, you know.
Dude, you're
So-
waking up at 4:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
That's usually I'm going to sleep like a half hour before you wake up.
That's crazy. You're night owl, huh?
Sometimes. I mean, I can wake up early as long as I get to sleep early. But lately, I've just been coming home from the studio, and I'm like, I need to work on this. I need to. And next thing you know, it's like 3 a.m, and I'm like, shit. All right, well, here we go again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Those are
both
my
of you guys are invited out for Philly if you feel like coming down and working at it, or even just coming down to hang out. I always get a room every year down in the city, and it's a good time.
No, I'd love to work it.
That's where you're from, Philly? That's where you are now, I should say.
Yep. Well, right outside it. I live in the suburbs, and that's where the studio is, but like 45 minutes or 30 minutes north of, Center City, Philadelphia.
I've never
What
been to
about-
Philly. I am from Massachusetts.
Okay.
What part?
Western Massachusetts, like if you know Springfield. Like
A
that
good
area.
buddy of mine named Devin works in Massachusetts, right around the Boston area.
I
If you
love
get
the
the chance. If you get the chance and you want a sick color tattoo, go and talk to him. His
What-
use
what
of
is his
color is amazing.
I will write it down.
Yeah, it's Devin Cooley, Coley. I did an interview with him not too long ago. It should be up on the YouTubes.
I love when I hear that, dude. The YouTubes. I love that shit.
Well, it's multiple channels on YouTube, so I just figure it's appropriate,
Yeah. The YouTubes.
The YouTubes and the Books of Face.
The books of the face.
Yes.
I don't really fuck around with the books of face too much, man.
Yeah, me either. I have it just for like promotional and business purposes. Any and all personal information is kept off of it at all times.
Yeah.
It's just
Right.
not worth me getting involved in that,
Mhm.
I've seen Facebook end too many relationships to, really trust it moving forward. So
I hate Facebook so much.
Likewise. Likewise.
I still have it though, because like I still have a lot of friends that'll contact me through Facebook Messenger. So it's like, all right, well, I'll keep it for now, but I never post anything to it.
Especially during this past year and a half, dude. I'm just like, I can't take this anymore, man. You guys are killing me. I gotta get away from all this. I gotta get away from all this negativity, man.
Right?
Gotta go bowling. or
Life is
something.
too short to be around negative things and people.
Yeah, dude. Massachusetts. I'm from Illinois. Well, I live in Illinois right now. I'm in a town called Normal, Illinois.
That is the greatest town.
I know. We have normal everything. We got normal cops. We got normal firefighters.
So when when the cops are driving by, does it say normal police?
It says normal police. I'll
As
take a
opposed
picture.
to Philadelphia overly aggressive police.
There you go, dude. I'll take a picture and tag it for you guys.
Yes.
That is the greatest. Normal police.
Normal police, real. It's pretty fucking fun.
That's awesome. Went to a normal high school. Oh god, I'm gonna have a cake with this for way too long.
Yeah. Fucking, I'm glad you like it. Thanks a lot.
Oh man.
I didn't go to high school or anything here though, so that's okay. That's good.
I was going to say, you're a Texas boy, right?
Yeah, I was born in Corpus Christi, Texas. Yeah.
So then how did you get all the way over to Illinois?
When I was
Most
younger.
people drive or take a plane. Just in case you were wondering, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. My
I mean,
feet are
some
really
people
bad.
might walk, but that's a hell of a walk. So
Exactly. You got that Papa-mobile, man. Yeah, we moved around a lot as kids, so we kind of like landed in Illinois of all places. But I lived in a lot of places before that. I used to live in New York City when I was a kid in like '89, I think. And then, man, I lived in Louisiana. I lived in let's see, West Virginia, Ohio, New Jersey.
you admit
Did I
to
say
living
that?
in Jersey?
Yeah, I lived in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Ah,
That's like, you know
that's
where
not
that's at,
too
right?
bad.
No,
Yeah, I
it
know
wasn't.
exactly where it is.
Yeah, it's right outside that Washington Bridge and stuff into New York. But yeah, man, New York was pretty rich. And then we moved to Peoria, Illinois before that. And then I lived in this place called Clinton, Illinois, where I went from New York City to Peoria and shit like that. And then Clinton, Illinois has 10,000 people in it, man. It was nuts. It's about 30 minutes south of Normal, Illinois.
Oh, that's such a good name.
Yeah, I
Normal.
may have you beat on strangest places to live, though.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's hear this.
So I was born in Houston, Texas, right?
Yeah.
Lived there for a couple of years when I was a kid. Then my dad took a contract working on a project on I think it was on a pipeline up in Alaska.
Okay.
He was flying back and forth from Alaska to Texas for, I think, like 2 or 3 months. And he'd be up there for a week or two and then home for a week or two and then up there for a week or two and then home for a week or two. My mom had enough. And she said, listen, either, get rid of the project or don't bother coming back.
Dang, dog.
Because she was at home with 2 little kids all the time. And so he's like, okay, well, it looks like we're moving to Alaska. So we did. And I moved to Alaska and lived in Alaska for a few years when I was a child. And then that project got done and he took a job in San Ramon, California, south of San Francisco, kind of like in a little obscure rural suburb of San Francisco. And was out there. I was actually out there when you were in New York.
Okay.
So when you were in New York in '89, right?
Yeah.
I was out there, and I don't know how much you know about that area of California in 1989, but there was a rather large earthquake that hit that major area during the World Series.
Oh, okay.
And I remember that being in that earthquake.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
What was that like, man? Was that pretty fucking surreal for you or what? I mean,
Scary as hell.
yeah.
I mean, that's really the only way I can actually describe it. When everything around you starts violently shaking
Mhm.
and you start to hear like things falling down in people's homes, and you know, you hear buildings are collapsing and bridges are collapsing and stuff, like when you don't know if you're going to have power or fresh water for another couple of weeks, like it can be a bit terrifying.
Yeah, dude. Fuck, I didn't even take that into consideration. That's crazy.
So, and then I think that spooked my parents enough. And a couple of years after that, we moved out here to Pennsylvania, which at the time I thought was called Transylvania. And I was like, wait a second.
That's so cool, dude.
Like, where are we moving?
Vampires? Why are
I
you
don't know if
taking
I
me to
like this
vampire
idea.
stuff? Yeah. You guys hate me or something or what?
Are you guys just using me as like food? Are you going to like sacrifice me to Dracula? Is that what's going on here?
Count Dracula.
Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, there you go, man. Do you remember that Bram Stoker's Dracula movie they came out? Keanu Reeves is in it, Gary Oldman. Do you remember that one?
Yo, love that movie.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Tom Waits is in that movie too, man. It's pretty wild. But I like that one too. That's a good one. But Keanu Reeves with that fake accent, dude, he's like, don't do it, Keanu. Come on, don't do it.
No, come on, dude. You're better than that.
Yeah, you're Bill. You're Bill, bro. Just be Bill.
Keanu's my hero.
Yeah, dude, that guy's a pretty radical fucking guy in real life for sure.
He's just an also like very honorable dude, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And then he's Bill and Ted, so that's all good.
Right?
And the John Wick stuff is fucking fantastic too.
Yeah, dude, I'm all about John Wick. Hello, Mr. Wick.
Yeah. If it wasn't for stupid COVID, he would have had Bill and Ted and John Wick 3 in the movie theater at the same time.
Yeah, he wasn't it like Keanu Reeves Day or something when both movies were supposed to be released?
Yep, you got it. What about you, Kirsten?
Don't be mad. I haven't seen John Wick.
What?
Blasphemy. That is straight blasphemy.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's it. So if you come down for the Philly show, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna get oh well, no, because you're 21, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be 23 in July.
There you go.
Cool. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna get shit faced and watch John Wick, all while drawing at the same time.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's why I don't really watch movies because I just draw. So, I mean, I have lately been using movies as a background noise, which has gotten me through a lot of classics. Because name like any old classic, and I've guaranteed you, I have not seen it because it's atrocious. I've never seen any of the Rockies. Never seen Godfather. I've never seen Alien versus Predator, The Terminator.
You've never seen Terminator?
Just stop now. Just stop now. Seriously.
Yeah, it's starting to get pretty bad.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Have you at least seen Anchorman: Legend of Ron Burgundy?
Oh man, dude.
I've never seen Anchorman in general.
Damn, dude.
Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail?
I have seen that, yes.
Okay, you have some redeeming qualities then. That's good.
Let's see what else. So yeah, none of the Godfathers. Couldn't think of any others really. I've seen a lot of Robert De Niro movies this past year, like all of his old movies.
Like Taxi Driver?
Yeah, I've seen Taxi Driver. Cape Fear, I saw that. That was a weird movie.
That's a good one.
It is a wicked good movie.
Yeah.
What's that movie where he plays like that boxer? It's all in black and white.
Is it Bull Durham? Oh no, wait. What's the name of that one?
No, it's Raging Bull.
Raging Bull. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
So
it's
I have something, but all the other movies, RoboCop, I've never seen RoboCop.
oh my god. You know, dude, the bad part is that now when you watch it, it's gonna be like, okay, this is fucking RoboCop, huh? What's the big deal, you know? But dude, I grew up watching that shit, man. It was fucking great.
I've never seen The Lord of the Rings. Uh, let's see.
Harry Potter?
I haven't seen all of them, no. I think
I just only really need to see like the first couple to get the gist of it.
I saw up to the Goblet of Fire, and then I stopped watching it.
Okay.
And then everybody says that that's the worst part to stop at.
Hey, when you know what? When you got tattoos to draw up, everything else comes second.
Yeah. But now that I'm using them as background noise, I'm flying through them. I can't really watch them, but I get it.
Right? I
We
mean,
were
I
talking
can't
about-
say anything. I did the
Go
same
ahead.
thing with Game of Thrones and Westworld.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen each series like 8 times, but the first time I saw each of them, I just had them on as background noise for I was working on paintings at the time over quarantine.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is like it's a give and take with me. A lot of times I think it's more like the shock value that people get into. It's like that. A lot of people hate me when I say this, but that show Breaking Bad, I think was more shock value than actual good content to me. You know what I mean? But
I can see that.
yeah, but you know, Westworld is actually pretty fucking good, dude. Like it's pretty.
I was
fucking
gonna say I did go back through and completely rewatch that one,
Yeah,
and that was a great series.
yeah, it's really good. They took an old '80s kind of thing and really amped it up. You know what I mean? They turned it up to 11.
Yes, yes. This is Spinal Tap.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
That's where that came from.
Yeah, exactly. And then Jason, you and I were talking about the other day about like audiobooks and stuff too.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoy audiobooks whenever I'm drawing or something like that, man. It's pretty good.
Ooh, name
Relaxing.
some good ones.
What's that?
Name some good ones. I like audiobooks as well.
What kind of
I mean-
genre do you like? I mean,
Yeah. I listened to the Stephen King The Dark Towers series. That was pretty good. Like the whole thing. I've recently got Ready Player One. I just finished Ready Player Two on audiobook the other day. I mean, Ender's Game, stuff like that. It's a lot. That's a lot of sci-fi stuff. If I get into nonfiction stuff, it's kind of harder for me to focus on my drawing and stuff.
So a couple of my favorite authors that I really like for audiobooks are Scott Mariani. He does a whole series called the Ben Hope series about a former SAS operative that, goes through and basically saves the day a lot. Really, really great series. Mark Dawson, he does another one about a former SAS guy. So they both have like the voice narrators have like British accents. So it's really kind of a nice pace. Let's see who else. Mark Allen Smith has a book called The Inquisitor, which is fantastic. Like you really start to get into it, and it's just really nice. The whole like premise behind that book is imagine someone that specializes in what's known as information retrieval, basically
Yeah.
getting people to tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
And imagine they're operating in today's world, in today's society, and this guy can go through and basically get information out of people without ever actually physically harming them.
Wow.
Right? So how does he do it? Right? Most of it's just like a psychological mind thing. Glenn Cooper's another great author. Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. I mean, I can go on. I read a lot and I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So I've got like a list of authors that are my regulars.
I can only see myself listening to audiobooks when I'm driving. When I'm drawing, I usually notice halfway through that I'm not paying attention to a lot of it because I'm so focused in. So usually I can only do audiobooks when I'm driving.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah.
I was that way for a very long time as well. You know, and then I just kind of got used to it, and I was like, oh, well, yeah. I used to swear that I would only ever listen to an audiobook once I had actually read the book, but that kind of went by the wayside. So
I like more philosophical books when I'm listening to them.
okay.
The War of Art is my favorite one, probably. That's a
Art of
really quick
War.
read. And The Art of War. That's a
Sun
good one.
Tzu.
I've been reading more art books too. I know I suggested one that Ricardo, you got, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, what was that one called again?
That's the Dynamic Bible.
Oh.
And did you enjoy it? It's all right. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to sit down and start some of the practices yet, but I'm really looking forward to it, especially with like you know, the markers or the pens. You know what I mean? Sitting
What's the
down
name of
and-
it again?
So this is the Dynamic Bible from Peter Hahn. He is a composition artist, and he, in my opinion, is one of the best illustrators because he has a segment on YouTube where he sits down for like 10 minutes or whatever and just starts, you know, talking with everybody. And he just whips out like the just greatest piece of composition in like 10 minutes. And he's just very well. I'm terrible at explaining artists, but he's very good.
He's so good. I have a hard time explaining how good that guy is.
Pretty much. But he came out with a book for the Dynamic Bible. He has these courses about dynamic sketching, which is basically seeing everything as just forms, but to the extreme level. So this book is like basically exercises on how to train your brain to view everything as basic forms. And when I started the exercises, I didn't realize how terribly I draw not squares, cubes until I started doing them. I was like, wow, screw the sphere. Like we gotta do cubes too. So
Yeah,
much stuff.
cubes. Yep, cubes with independent light sources.
Yeah. But that's been a good book. I've been reading Nicolaides' book too. That's a good. He has good schedules in there for artists to, you know, how they do their practice time and then their actual drawing time. Because I learned that very late too, that you have to have practice time and actual drawing time on top of that. You can't just sit down and draw at times. You got to do exercises too.
Yep.
Which I noticed that when I do exercises before I actually sit down and draw, I get way less frustrated at myself because I'm already warmed up.
Yeah, that's a good practice to take on, especially if you're kind of tense. It shakes all the bugs out. You know what I mean? It's like that. What was it in Zombieland? He's like, you got to do the cardio stretch or whatever. It was one of his rules.
So he can do an extra lap around his car just so he can get his keys. Yes.
Exactly. Got it.
Hey, I seen that one.
I'm gonna say, good thing.
That's a plus. That's a plus.
Pop quiz, you passed, man.
So I am actually going to get going in a little bit, guys.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and start doing our sign-offs?
All
So,
right.
Ricardo, let me spotlight you. Why don't you go ahead and tell us where you're from, how people can get a hold of you,
Yeah.
everything like that.
For sure. My name is Ricardo Sertimat. I tattoo at Candor Tattoo. You can find me on Instagram under the same username at Candor Tattoo, CANDOR Tattoo. I live in Illinois in a town called Normal, Illinois. Yeah, I've had a great time today, man. Today's been
covering a lot of topics and stuff, dude. Jason, it's always a pleasure. Kirsten,
Likewise.
good to meet you. You had a lot of really good questions as far as like your entry level and like where you're at, and keep that curiosity going. I think it'll help you out a lot. So yeah, that's
Awesome.
it.
Cool. Kirsten, I'll go through and spotlight you and just tell everyone where they can find you and, what you do, what your Instagram is, plug yourself a little bit.
Hello, my name's Kirsten Franklin, and I tattoo out of a small shop in West Springfield, Massachusetts. You can find me on Instagram at Frankie Says Things. And I have a website too. It's prpprint.com. I have some prints there, maybe. And that's kind of it. It was wonderful meeting everybody, and I hope that we can all congregate at Philadelphia. That would be super fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds great. And I'll go through and do myself last. So, hey everyone, welcome. My name is Jason Leeser. I'm a tattooer at the Inkwell Tattoo outside of Philadelphia. You can reach me on Instagram at Philly Inc. I'm always down to answer questions. Thank you guys both very much for hopping in here, asking questions, making comments. A lot of really great discussion went on today. Thank you guys very, very much. Wanted to say thank you to everyone that was watching today. Really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you guys again next Sunday. If not, there's another drawing group going on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. East Coast time with Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network. Go and check it out if you don't know what that is. I'll be joining in as well. Definitely always great discussion going on in that drawing group as well. I'll probably be finishing up my final project because I'm going to start working on this 3/4 sleeve I got to get rocking on. And for those of you out there that are not aware, highly recommend that if you guys are a subscriber to the Reinventing Drawing groups and the Reinventing Canon, jump in the Monday night live drawing group sessions. A lot of great discussion, a lot of great tips on how to improve your artwork. A lot of great discussion with Guy himself. It's like great one-on-one instruction. Really helps get your mind back to that place that we all know we've been at, where we're like, yeah, art, let's do it, right? So definitely highly recommend you check that out. And yeah, once again, thank you guys very much for tuning in today, and hope to see you guys again next time.